the redirect, right? Those words are interchangeable. I just want to say that out loud. Again, we all want to be on the same language. So he'll head down, he'll spot the anchor, in this case, this blue sling here with the rapide, and he will traverse left or right out of the fall line to make his way to that anchor. And then you need to safety tether in. Sometimes people can find that it's easy enough to just clip, right, while they're hanging on. You may find that to make the move, you need to lock off your device, make your way over to the anchor, clip in so that you're safe, and then you can unlock your device and weight your safety tether. Once that's done, you can figure out how to get the rope inside of the deviation. So sometimes you'll find a hook, a gusset hook, or a carabiner. In this instance, it's a quick link, which is the hard one. Maybe you can unscrew it, maybe you can't. You can pull the rope up and feed it through. Sometimes the one in the 7 teacups that I told you before is just a hook, clip it, easy. But the goal is that now you are out of the natural fall line, you're making your way out of the hazard, and then you can continue your rappel. So once you have the rope into the deviation and it's redirected, then you need to get below it. So you can unlock your device. Again, you're on the safety tether, de-rig, rig below it immediately, lock it off, and then try to unweight your safety tether. Sometimes it's as easy as just leaning against the wall. Sometimes you may need to pull yourself. If anybody's ever done any climbing that's significant, you're somewhat familiar with this idea. And there are different scenarios where we may find ourselves needing to do multi-pitches. If you remember in your L1 course, there was a multi-stage rappel that we tried to talk to you about. Does everyone remember what a multi-stage rappel is? No? So you'll throw 100 feet of rope and you rappel 50 feet and you land on a ledge and you go, perfect, and you de-rig. And you're like, what do I do now? Oh, I have to go another 50 feet down to the floor. Some people are lucky enough to land on that perch, pull their rope, and then they're stuck, right? And if they don't know how to build an anchor, hey, call in a rescue. So it's important to know if it's a multi-stage rappel or a multi-pitch rappel. The difference being, in a multi-pitch rappel, we most certainly need to head down the rope, clip into an anchor, and build a new anchor station as we make our way down. So why would we do this? Can anybody think why we'd need a multi-pitch?
You have like a really long rappel.
Really long rappels. Could I bring a long rope?
Yeah.
Sure, you could.
Not enough rope?
Sure, not enough rope. Yeah, I could bring a long rope, but I don't want to carry it, right? You're young, maybe you want to, but I don't. I'm lazy. Yeah, you don't have enough rope. People have been known to drop into the wrong canyons. It happens, right? Sometimes it's easy when that's the only one. Some of them are stacked right next to each other. And if you end up at a 300-foot rappel and you only brought a 200-foot rope, you may be in trouble, right? The first rappel of Inglestead Canyon is a big 300-footer off of a tree, down canyon left. Yeah, that's right. And there must be 10 different stations, anchor stations to find. So if you happen to be at the right canyon, but at the wrong anchor station, what's below you may not be what you were expecting. And that could be an issue. So I have a question, gold star number 4. Yeah, how could you complete the Inglestead 300-foot rappel with 2 200-foot ropes?
Tie the ropes together, pass the knot.
Assuming everybody knows how to pass the knot? Yeah. Have you ever passed a knot 200 feet off the deck? No. People don't like it. Me included.
Hire the guy that drives you in and lets you use his 300-foot rope for the first drop.
There is a guy that borrows you his rope and then pulls it and says goodbye. That guy is a hero.
Yeah.
That is a
How are you going to
valuable
retrieve your
service.
ropes, though?
Sorry?
How are you going to retrieve your ropes?
Great question. So, we do it with multi-pitches. First person rigs a 100-foot rappel, right? And the second person down brings a 200-foot rope. So the first person will go down, and then there's that anchor station 100 feet, and they will build a new anchor and deploy the 200-foot rope. That gets them down to the ground. So then everybody else can rappel 100 feet, right? Clip in to the anchor station, transfer to the other rope, make their way down. The last man needs to deploy the pull side of that first 200 foot, go down to the anchor station, clip into the anchor, transfer to the other rope, pull the 100-foot rope down with him, and then tie that to the second 200-foot rope. Awesome, right? It's not difficult work. It's important that we're planning ahead. We know what we need to do. We just need to figure out how to get there. If you send the first man down and he doesn't have a rope, you've got a problem, right? If you're in the wrong spot and he heads down, what do you do? What if he doesn't have a rope? How would you solve it?
Can you ascend?
Send it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to come back up, right? Some people seem to forget that that's a thing. We will talk about that tomorrow, but yeah, you got to come back up and fix it. Somebody was short in not Imlay Canyon, and we don't know the full story, but they threw what they thought was enough. They were at the wrong anchor station. They got down there, somebody fell like 150 feet, right? So it's really important that we keep these kind of options around and we know what we're looking for. The second option is you have one 200-foot rope for a 200-foot rappel. How do you solve this?
You bring a pull cord.
Pull cord would technically count as a rope in my scenario.
All right.
You only get one. But I like where you're at.
I mean, can we build another intermediate anchor at 100?
Yes. Yeah, that's right. There's another anchor at 100. So how do you get your team down?
Question.
You have to all clip into the anchor.
Yeah, is this a vertical face that we're...
Let's say it is.
So you don't have like a landing spot at 100 to rebuild?
Nope. Okay. So.
Oh, I think I've got it.
Oh, I want to hear it. Gold star 5.
So set the rope at 200 feet.
Yep.
Have the first person go down and build an anchor at 100. Or anybody could do it for that matter. But everybody rappels 200. Then the last person goes down on that same rope, but once they get to the intermediate anchor, they set the rope through that intermediate anchor so they can pull the last 100.
Did you guys get that?
Yeah.
He nailed it, right? Only one person has to do the multi-pitch. So you can rig the 200, send everybody down, single strand, right? And then you can head down, clip into that midpoint, pull the rope, re-rig it, and then still get your rope back. Awesome. Valuable skills. Not everybody needed to do it, but somebody needs to do it. Great. You get a gold star. I don't have them, so just visualize. I'll bring them tomorrow and we'll put them on your helmet. Okay, so Lamar's job is to pull the rope, right? Everybody now, we figured out how to get most of the team down in scenario A and scenario B, but now we need to get our ropes back. So the sequence for Lamar is to come down the rope, get to that midpoint, and then clip in, and then pull the rope, right? It's a mess if you don't do it with a little bit of skill. So you can clip the bag to your non-break strand side, and you can come down with it as the pull side is deploying as you're rappelling. You get there, you clip in, and then as you pull the rope, you're stuffing it into the bag, right? And that block is coming up and over, and it's getting closer to you, and then it goes out through the anchor or the repeat at the top and comes kind of crashing down. Great. Pull it up, thread it through, rig your final rappel, right? Does that make sense to everybody? Alternatively, you could also get down there and you could undo it from the bag and then put it through the repeat and pull the pull side, bringing the rope up and down until the block hits that mid station anchor repeat. Is that also clear?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Sorry. We need to protect ourselves and our first climber who's going to make their way out to that exposed bolt. And we do that with what we call a retrievable handline. So it involves a few steps, and we'll try to walk you through it, but you definitely need 2 people to start. And if you think of it like a direct top belay sideways, it will help, and I'll show you what that means if that doesn't make sense just yet. Okay, so he's our climber because I'm scared of heights, and he is going to be the person at most risk during this. You will usually have on known traverses, right, that require handlines, you'll usually have a bolt at the safe point, and you'll have a bolt that's exposed. So a good example of this is Mystery Canyon in Zion. Very, very famous, very popular kind of beginner level canyon, but the second to the last rappel has a very exposed traverse. There is a permanent handline there. Permanent. Somebody put it there at some point. Do we trust our lives to it? I don't know. Maybe, right? Maybe it worked for the last guy. If you fall, does it work for you? I bring my own reps, right? The final rappel in the maze is another really good example of exposure. So you start here, the bolt is maybe 8 or 10 feet over there, and it's a 200-foot rappel, and you're in like a 18-inch to 24-inch crack. And you need to get out to those bolts for the clean pull. So you have to bring your rope and stem like over this big drop to clip into that bolt and then rig the rappel. And then everybody on your team has to make this same risky move to get over there and rig. You guys like that 1-foot shot? Yeah, great. So, the thing is, you can leave a fixed line. Why would we do that? We like our gear, we want it back, right? So we're going to protect our climber, and we're going to rig it so that it is retrievable to us. With me so far?
Yep.
Okay, great. So, you are on my bolt. Of course. Okay, so on this first bolt, maybe there's a repeat on it, maybe not. But when our climber is going to make his way over, he wants to go directly through the hanger. Again, we're thinking ahead to what our problem will be. If we rig our handline in through the repeat that's there, it's possible that we may need to access that to rig our own rappel line. It's also possible if there's webbing that I fall on this and the webbing snaps and shock loads the system. We're not trying to do that. We're trying to tension this line so that if anybody falls, they're not falling at any significant distance. So we bring this through, and we have to secure our climber. And we can do that with a re-threaded figure 8, right, which is what climbers like to do through their tie-in points. That takes a long time, and we don't love it. We can also tie a figure 8, perfectly dressed, first try, I'm just saying. Overhands on bites are not good enough. We don't trust them, but we are okay with a figure 8. Clip to his belay loop. Now, we've got 2 options for rigging his belay. And the first option involves me rigging my rappel device in a 0 friction setting, okay? I don't want him to be fighting me while he's walking on a 6-inch ledge, you know, with a 50-foot drop. That's not nice to do. So as little friction through here as possible. And if the anchor is accessible, then you're trying to get right up next to it. In this case, it would not be accessible. And what's gonna happen when he falls is it's gonna shock and pull my face straight into this rock, right? It's a bad day. And what am I gonna do?
Drop
him. Right? Try to protect myself. And I'm gonna let go of his belay.
Yeah.
So so he's gonna die, or he's gonna get mangled. We don't like that. So, as an alternative, we can rig him through our short tether. By adding the short tether, my device can get close to there. What setting should I rig this in?
0.
Yes, you guys are listening. And now, if he falls, I'm gonna be okay.
So I noticed you did that upside down. Is there? You can do it either way. Oh, okay.
You're talking with this system?
Yep.
Yeah, so they're concave and convex, right? And this adds more friction, this adds less.
Friction at it.
Yeah, I just like to flip it because I'm cheap and I don't want to replace it very often. Okay, so his job now,
Also, in this scenario, that would be the least
Ideal
resistance
scenario
you
anyway,
want,
right?
it would be the least amount of resistance. Yeah, that's right. Yep. So somebody needs to manage that rope. Hopefully we don't have any issues. Uncinch the bag. If there's any tangles or knots in it, hopefully your team is making sure that this is feeding through. Again, we're here to help him, not hinder him in his responsibility. So this is a super sketchy, dangerous ledge, right? And what's gonna happen is he's gonna start making his way. We're gonna get into a safe position here where we're protected. If you need to sit down and feed it, that's fine. I'm just comfortable with this. Go ahead. Just gonna have to pull a little.
So you'll have enough friction to stop him no matter how big he is?
Yeah.
Okay.
So what's gonna happen if he falls is the question, right?
Yeah.
And you see I'm kind of adding, there's so much friction in there that he has to pull on it
Yeah.
pretty significantly. And if you can kind of fix your device, you may like have to play with it like a throttle. So if he falls, he is going to take what we call a whipper, right? He's gonna slip and he's gonna pendulum and he's gonna smash against something over here. And that sucks, but he doesn't die,
Yeah.
right?
Hopefully.
It's his problem. It's not my problem. He fell.
My odds would go down a lot less if I could pull this rope easy.
So it's a good point though, right? Because you may have to play with it and adjust it so he has as easy of a time as possible. So he's over there. Everybody over here is quiet. You can always feel it at the top of the rappel as people take deep breaths. Like, I don't want it. He's fighting that. The more slack he puts in his system, the more at risk he is. So like what he just did there to take a few feet, don't do that when you're out walking. You want it to be tensioned. We're just trying to work together as a team. Once he gets close enough to the anchor, he will tether in to the other side.
Ideally
So-
before he undoes the rope.
Before he undoes the rope.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm super tethered.
But we'll just say that's what he did.
No,
So-
normally you would do that without being told because being here is normally
Scary.
very scary.
Right? You've just survived this and now you've got that, right? So you clip in, right? Make sure again that you're clipping into something that's not going to interfere with your rigging. We're thinking ahead in this process. And then he's going to bring that rope through the hanger and he's going to add a beaner block to it. Once that's done and we know that he's protected, I can unclip. We'll wait for him. We'll bring some tension into the system as much as we can, and we'll tie a clove hitch on this side. Sure, there's a little slack, but it's not dangerous to the slack.
Clove on both ends.
Clove on both ends.
Okay.
He's gone through the actual hanger itself,
Right.
right? And that leaves the rigging free. Again, if it's webbing, it's not going to shock as you kind of come down. Now people are a lot less exposed. So we have two options here. If this is the rope that we need to rig the rappel, then we have to bring it through and over there. If not, then it can wait here while the rest of the team makes their way over. Let's say he brought a rope, he rigged the rappel, right? All right, guys, let's do it. Everybody's ready to start making their way over. And they can do that protected by clipping in to the line, right? And they can make their way. And now if they fall, again, we're trying to pull this towards us so that we're not letting it shock load. If I slip and it's just dangling here, boom, it's gonna add a lot of force on our system. So if I can pull that, that's even better. I can make my way over. I can safety tether into that anchor, and then I can rappel. We send the team one by one until LAMAR has a job. The last person will need to bring the rope with them. It's possible that this is already over there, right? In the event that it isn't, again, uncinch your bag, clip both. If for some reason the rope was already over there, one side is protected and the other isn't. So clip both strands. I don't care which one it is, just grab them both. Okay, because that one's going over there and it's going through your repeat. So you can make your way over. You guys remember when I talked about why we like each other's systems? Can you imagine a scenario here where I didn't have one? You always have to add before you subtract, right? So here I am, I'm exposed, I'm on this bolt, and my only protection is on this hand line, and I have to take it off to try to clip it to this other anchor. It's not a good idea. We always add before we subtract. So if we have that hand line, that's safety, then we can come through, take what we need to, undo that, right? Then we can rig for rappel. How do we get our rope back? LAMAR needs to get our rope. We've got the over to the rappel. We remove the block that was on this hanger, and then we can pull it, maybe. Oh, so much friction. Mechanical advantage is where I seem to lose people. So I'll try to keep it as simple as possible. Don't be shy to say it again, help me out. I'm not seeing it, okay? When we have a guided rappel, the point is that somebody will need to go first. That person is swimming in bear soup, right? There's no way to avoid it. I'm sorry, it is what it is. So, you know, no, dude, I'll swim. You guys all owe me beer. Awesome, right? He's going in the bear suit. So he's gonna have to go down. He's gonna have to navigate it. Maybe he has to navigate a pothole or the hydraulic that we talked about that wants to drown him. Who do we send? Send the best swimmer, right? Sequencing becomes like critical when we're talking about guided rappels and what we're trying to avoid as we consider it. Who has the talent, right? Who's smart enough to know how to build an anchor at the bottom? So it may not be your best swimmer, right? If your best swimmer is like, I'm amazing and I can swim across that no problem, and he gets there and he goes, I don't know what I'm doing. What good is he to the team, right? So we go, okay, who's our second strongest swimmer? And they go, me, but I also don't know how to do that. Okay, who's the third best swimmer? And so on. So it's not always, you know, the first thing that kind of pops into mind. You need your talent somewhere. And we can build tensioning systems from the top of the rappel or the bottom of the rappel, depending on how much room we have and where our talent is. So some systems or anchors aren't going to play nice with a top tensioning, in which case we will tension from the bottom. And vice versa, if it's rarer that we need to build the system that I will show you from the bottom, but if we do, it's an option as well. Some of the Pacific Northwest people like to do meat guided rappels. You won't see, I'm not doing that. I'm just gonna build a system. So we need to find an anchor that is reliable at the bottom of our rappel. The first person will rappel down. They will tackle whatever obstacle it is that's there. Hopefully it's just bear soup. They will swim out. Then we're gonna release this block and they're gonna take rope out as they build the second anchor. And they're gonna build the anchor kind of far enough away that when we send our team down, they're gonna float out like a zip line and they're gonna bypass the hazard that's underneath us. Seems easy, right? You guys are still with me, I like it. So, so to do that, we have a couple of options. Like I said, we can do it from the top, we can do it from the bottom. But there's a few concepts that I think I need you guys to understand before this will start to make more sense. So as soon as he builds that, he is going to block it, and you guys are going to learn how we're going to build a guided destructive. You could slice it all up like what he was suggesting, but I'd prefer to leave it for the next guy.
I didn't know that we had a releasable block down here.
What's that?
I didn't know that we had a releasable block down here.
Well, that's because we're
thinking
the
ahead.
problem. So if you guys see, he's pulling tension on that line, which is pretty cool. And he's going to do the best he can, and it's not going to be good enough.
Yeah, it's still gonna be slack.
Yeah. But what he's doing is pulling that tension before we do the magic up top, right? You're taking as much of that slack out of the system as you can, and then we're gonna figure it out from there. So he's got an 8 block. We all are comfortable with our contingency 8 blocks? Yeah?
No. I could do it a refresher. Yeah.
We're gonna do refreshers. Okay, we're not gonna do it in this moment, but before this weekend is done, I will sit down with you and you will learn this to be your best friend, okay? Great. So, now we need to figure out a way to get all of this tension out of here. And what's gonna happen is we're gonna clip somebody in to zip line it, and then they're gonna sag super low right into the problem. So if there's not enough tension on this line, we haven't solved the issue, right? They just go plunk right down into the, we don't want our friends to die unless we dislike our friends. So we are going to build what we call a pig rig. It is also known as a block and tackle system. But what we're suggesting with a pig rig is that it is a piggyback system. It is working on what we have already here as a piggyback, right? It is not building something new. We're just gonna add something here to solve the problem. Pig rig, piggyback. We understand that. So we need to grab this rope and to make it super tight. Does anybody know what can grab this rope?
Prussik.
Microtraction.
I heard microtraction, Prussik,
Prussik.
somebody.
Valdetin.
Yeah. Valdetin truss, yes. Anything that will pinch on this, right? So we can use mechanical ascenders or we can use friction hitches. Doesn't matter what, just something. I like to keep things easy, so I have mechanical ascenders. You guys will also have them. After tomorrow, when you use them, you're gonna be like, oh, this is amazing. These will only go in one direction. So you can see that when they're installed on a rope, they're typically made to ascend as we go up, right? But we don't want to go that way. We want to pull the rope this way. So we're installing these in a way that when we pull on it, we're gonna pull that system tightly. Still with me, everybody? Mm-hmm. Right. So, when we install our carabiners, we want them to be a mirror image so that we can prevent problems of tangling and that we're working with something here and we're not crossing the strands. In the top of my pack, Derek, is my Canyon cordelette in my yellow bag. I'm sorry, it's in the brain. Sorry. I got it wrong. Okay, that looks reasonable. Do you guys see what I'm saying?
Yep.
The gate's on this side and the gate's on this side. Now, when you guys first started, we asked you to find HMS carabiners, round stock, right? So these guys here have all of this surface area. And the reason, this is one of the first times that it's a really good example, is that the rope has a lot of contact there, and these can double as a pulley system for us. So, can I use pulleys? Yes. Are they more efficient? Do they have less friction than a carabiner? Yes. But do I need them? No. No, I don't. And if you've noticed, there's one thing in canyoneering here is that we don't like more equipment than we need. We travel light and fast, and we use our skills. So, this is your introduction to a canyon cordelette. We use this to piggyback our system. Again, we're building something on top of what's already existing. We have a terminated loop on one end, and we have 17 to 21 feet of 7 mil on the other. Okay, this is quite powerful. I think it's rated for like 2,500 pounds of force. And this is a Prussik. You may not need this on your canyon cordelette, but we like them because they're adjustable, and it's a friction hitch that's built into the system. So we can adjust them if we need to shrink it up. We use them for other reasons besides what we have here. So, does anybody know what mechanical advantage is? Anybody besides Eric? You said, yeah, go.
So mechanical advantage is basically a haul system. It's where you redirect the ropes to where going through what essentially would be a pulley system, or mocking one with the redirection of the carabiners, but it's pretty much divides the effort each time. So you might have 2 to 1, 3 to 1. A 3 to 1 would be it takes 3 times less effort to pull that. It's like pulling a third of the weight on 3 times. So it's just moving the rope back and forth to give you leverage.
You've got a lot of it there, but in its simplest form is mechanical advantage is us using force, me, pulling on a simple machine to increase our advantage. I want to be stronger because I'm not very strong. I never have been. So we can use these pulley systems to increase that. What he was talking about is that we have a different kind of work and effort, and I'll explain that in a minute. So, if, let me rephrase. When we start with our terminated loop at a fixed point, it's not doing anything yet. This pulley doesn't go anywhere, and it doesn't contribute to our system. The only time that it does help is when it's on the pulley that's moving. This pulley is moving this way towards this fixed anchor. So this is where our mechanical advantage is, okay? So if I click this through and I pull on this, I've become a lot stronger, right? I've become twice as strong because there are 2 strands pulling on this. So when it's fixed up here to the top, away from the load, you are always going to have an even amount of advantage. So when I clip here, can anyone guess what the mechanical advantage is?
3 times.
Interesting. If you remember, the only time that I have mechanical advantage is based on the strands that are moving through the traveling pulley. So there are still 2 strands, it's still a 2 to 1. This is simply a change of direction. So I was pulling up before, now I'm pulling down. If I add a second time, what is our mechanical advantage now?
3.
4.
4. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 strands there, right? So again, we're going to try to keep any twist out from this, because if we start crossing these cords, it's going to get a little difficult to tension something, okay? So I think that seems to make sense for most of you guys. You're learning quickly. And now I'm going to ask you what the mechanical advantage is if I clip it here. Oops. To the load.
1 to 1.
1 to 1.
Redirect.
1 to 1. All right, 1 strand on it with a change of direction. We redirected on the wall before when we were like deviating, right? But this has a change of direction built into it. Now, anyone? 3-to-1. Yes. And we're pulling up on this. So you can see that by pulling it, we can tension this line. And we can do that effectively because we've added the mechanical advantage. The amount of work is the same. It changes. It doesn't take as much strength because I'm now stronger, but I have to pull farther. So in a 3-to-1 system, every 3 inches, or every 1 inch that I pull here is going to translate into 3 here. So the work type changes, right? I have to pull more to get there, but I have the strength on my side. You guys still with me? Yeah? Awesome. You guys are so good. Okay. So when we build our pig rigs, our block and tackle systems, we're trying to build some mechanical advantage so that I can tension this line for my friends. All right? So I have a 2-to-1 system on here because it's up at the top, right? There's 2 strands that start. What have I built?
4-to-1.
With
What's a redirect?
Redirect.
change of direction. I heard redirect from a few. Again, this is 4-to-1 with a change of direction. I prefer to pull down. I don't want to pull up. Okay? And now, look at what's happening as I pull on this system. I've got some slack that we've introduced. All right? So, we've accomplished our mission of tensioning this, but we haven't solved the problem yet, because if I let go, we're going to lose the advantage, and we're going to lose that tension. So we need to learn a new hitch, and this is called a mule. The important thing about a mule hitch is that it captures all of the strands to hold it in place. The mule needs to be closest to where it wants to travel. So if I hold here and let this go, my hand goes sucked into this pulley, right? The mule hitch will do the same. It's the opposite. If I end up here and it wants to go this way, then the mule hitch needs to be up against this pulley, capturing all of the strands. So to do that, we have to make a little loop. And I don't know if you all can see. You can get closer if you'd like. I like to do this thumb up method, and I make a little loop there. And you see how this comes across all of the strands on the bottom. And then we pass a bite through that loop. And we've been able to lock that off. We're not going to lose all of this. It doesn't want to go anywhere. But again, we're always asking what can go wrong. I pull on this and plunk, it all falls apart, right? So we need to install a safety that will hold it in place, and we do that with a simple overhand across all strands. Now it's hands off. Magic. One thing that everybody likes to do, because we're all a little bit lazy, right, is we come around here and then we try to go there. This is like a little half hitch. It's not going to work. So remember, if the rest of your system is going this way, your overhand will also end in that direction. Still with me?
Yep.
Okay. Now I have all of this amazing slack. And what I can do on this tension line is relocate my carabiner. My block. Oops. Oh, what happened? We twisted it. So, how much tension do I need for a guided rappel? Not much. Okay. Do you guys, were you in your L1 class, did you do an experiment with the vector forces on your anchors?
Yes.
Where you pulled them, right? You remember how angles
Yeah.
matter?
Yep.
right? So when we're pulling on a line like this and tensioning it, there is an extreme amount of force on our anchor systems. So it needs to be good. It doesn't need to be great, right? And I think that people have a tendency to want to wrench down on it as hard as they can. Now, I want to talk about force again. Me, right? Applying force on this system. I can be a multiplier, me being force. So I pulled on this, right? And it was a 4-to-1 with a change of direction. But since force is a multiplier, if John was to come over here and help me pull on this, multiply it by 2. So now the 4-to-1 is a 8-to-1 system. And why is this important? When we're using carabiners as pulleys, we will typically lose the efficiency of them around a 5-to-1 system. So all of this extra friction starts working against us. And if we go over a 9-to-1, we will likely break our gear. We don't like to explode our gear. We never go over a 9-to-1. Is that clear?
We're going to break what?
We're going to break our gear. Things are going to start to explode.
The carabiner or the cordelette?
That's a good question. This is rated for like 2600. I'd be willing to bet that it's like the quick links that go at like 1700. That seems to be the weakest link in most systems. So we get a little nervous. We can also start to stress our rope, right? We might introduce a Pothole or something there. So the rule is when we're tensioning these systems, you can tension it once, and then you can weight it. And look at all that extra slack that we've introduced again. You can tension it one more time if need be. You might not need to. You might be fine. When we're undoing the mule, we get that bite close, kind of down hard and fast. Then we can tension it one more time. Again, that strand has to capture all the others. We pass a bite through. We add the overhand as a safety. Try to put it close to your mule if you can. So we have a mule hitch and the overhand. And then you can move this one more time to give it a little extra tension. Not good at moving this without shifting it. Okay. Does that make sense? How many times can we retension the system?
Twice.
Two times total, right? But we can retension it one time. So the first person will go down and they'll start to sag, right? And they go, whoa, I got pretty close. You go, all right, we'll take a little bit of that out. And then we can take it out. So we've introduced this system is that we attach our short tether to the tension line, and then we rig for rappel on the pull side. Now remember, we have a block at the bottom. If we've done our job correctly, everything holds strong, right? And we walk off the back of the wall, and then this starts to pull us away from the wall until you're out floating in space.
First person to take the bag with them so you don't drop it in the parachute.
We throw it down. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, you're not. The bag is not at the top of the rappel. You know, there's 2 links down towards the bottom. So you're weighted on this line, and you're controlling your descent through your rappel device on the block side. Anyone excited?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody nervous?
Yeah.
Seth is nervous.
It's gonna hurt when I drag my ass across.
Yeah, so that is a good point.
What kind of pre-rappel choices do you think you would be making?
What's that?
What kind of pre-rappel choices do you think you might be making?
Friction-wise, right?
Oh, okay. I was gonna say you could possibly shorten your tether, or well, you don't want to like redo all that stuff.
Yeah.
What about
More so you meant
sequencing
extra
for your
friction
heaviest
on
guy
the
versus your
device.
lightest?
I'm sorry.
You probably wouldn't want to put your heaviest guy down first, or would you?
if there's enough tension in the system, it would be okay, right? He obviously, the first person down will introduce some slack. You'll get some stretch in the rope, right? And you will lose some of the tension. Is it too much? I don't know, right? Probably not. You'd probably be okay. But we kind of like to look at it after that first person goes down and floats away from the obstacle.
Yeah, so more what I'm getting at is your friction choice on your rappel device. You think you want the same, you want more or less?
I would say less.
Yeah.
Why?
Because it's not going straight down your...
Gravity's not pulling you down.
Well, there's
You're
friction
going
on the guide as well.
That's right.
Yeah.
So it's both. Yeah, you're experiencing gravity as a vector force, right? And then
Depends on the angle
your
of the
tether
drop.
is introducing a lot of friction. So you'll use less friction than you normally would.
So where would the tether be if you're right-handed? Would it be on your the guide be on the left side then, or does it not matter?
Yeah, so I think that you just want to keep it from getting twisted.
Right.
And you can see that it's pretty easy to do that. I think the question is, where are you ending up, right?
So if you're
So if
right-handed,
you're
that's what you would
walking
do, right now?
You're walking off either backwards,
Yeah.
and then you're floating out in space. You just want that to be there. You're going to start to spin, so you're not going to be able to fully control the issue.
Right.
You're out in space, you're just floating
Oh, this
down.
is from like freehanging then.
Oh,
Yeah.
it sure is.
Have you had to do this in any canyons?
Had to?
I have.
Gotten to. Made excuses to all the time.
Yeah, everybody makes an excuse to. Oh, you need a guided rappel? You sure? I can build one.
Make us get together to build this for them.
It is a crowd pleaser. Let's put it that way. I know it's right now. You get a pucker moment. That's totally a real thing.
Really?
But it's a lot of fun. Our talent is at the bottom. There was no room to build a pig rig at the top, right? Or for whatever reason, that guy down there is just gonna build something that's gonna be better. So in this scenario, we want to pull out a little extra tail because we need some room to work with. Okay. So we still have a block at the top like we normally would. But now we've got a little extra rope over here. And we're going to tension this from the bottom. I think I got it.
Oh, is this yours? I don't know. Just mentioned it.
Does everyone have their stuff here?
Yeah, I don't buy gear. I just wait.
Wait for class, right? And be like, oh, are you missing some stuff? We could sell it to you.
You're like the walking lost and found.
Great.
No.
So guys, again, we need to grab the rope and pull it towards us, right? So remember, we had oriented our rope man so that it was pulling up. This time we're pulling down. So in this case, it's going to be set for our rope grab.
There's not a single thief in the ring crew. We're just all trying to get our shit back.
Pull this way.
That's funny.
With me so far?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So we've threaded this through our anchor at the bottom, and now we need to connect this over here. If I just attach it to this, there's nothing there, okay? There's a critical step here that I need you all to see. And it comes by passing a bite through this carabiner. So when I pass a bite through this, add another carabiner to it. Now I have a bite that's being pulled on this side towards this rope. And we need to terminate the loop here, right? So I can add a clove hitch. What else could I add?
8 on the bite.
Yeah, you could add an 8. Sure. Something that just terminates, right? That did a really poor job of tensioning it. So the magic happens
Oh, you keep pulling it.
when we pull this towards the anchor and this strand back through here.
Sick.
Yeah, that. It's called motherfucking magic.
This is the MFM system, also known as a voodoo, also known as a transport hitch, I believe.
Yes, that's the official name.
That's the official title. I'm trying to give you guys an idea. Some people in the world call it PM, pure magic. That's bullshit, man. MFM is the way to go. So what did I just see, right? It's hard to explain, I know it. But this rope grab, is pulling on this. We've passed that bite through, and now we've terminated it through this other end. So the system can loosen by just moving it back. But somebody kind of famously explained it as you have two strands pulling, right? As opposed to the one, so you're gaining like a net positive, and then if it goes the other way, you're losing it. Right? If we come down a rope, we may be in a situation where we need to go up it. And I think that most people think of it as an afterthought, like climbers think about rappelling, but it's really important. Why might we need to ascend a rope? Anybody?
Stuck.
Something gets stuck. We saw that yesterday, right?
Dropped into the wrong spot.
Well, yeah, we dropped into the wrong spot and realized it before it was too late. What else?
To make an exit.
For an exit, that's a really good one. 150-mile canyon in the Grand Canyon, right? Is a trade route down and out of it, but it's all fixed ropes. It's all mandatory ascends, right? Secret Canyon, which you just did. Like I said yesterday, you have to pack raft out, and if you don't have a pack raft, you have to ascend back up and out of it. Good. What else?
Rescue.
Something up top.
We might have left something. This happens.
It's happened.
So often. I love it. You're like, it does happen. Yeah, that's right. People may leave things behind. Whose job is it to make sure that nothing is left behind?
LAMAR.
LAMAR. Who gets to ascend back up the rope if I left my cell phone and I wasn't LAMAR?
Yeah.
LAMAR. It's his job to sweep. Okay? We all have our roles in Canyon. That's totally annoying. And I will be eternally grateful, but his job is to look, right? I've had somebody leave a pack for, I don't know, 3 rappels, and I've picked it up and put it on my back, or I've stuffed their little pack inside of my pack and walked with it, just to be like, oh, you left it? Where? When? And just let them be like, oh shit, my phone, my keys, my wallet, oh. And then, you know, an hour and a half later, be like, this is getting heavy. And they're just like, oh, dude, you're a legend. But never leave a pack behind again, right? They only had to make that mistake once. And it does get heavy and annoying carrying other people's gear. So it totally happens, right? We may need to ascend out on purpose. We didn't undo the safety. How about we threw a bunch of rope over a big rappel and it doesn't reach the ground, right? Remember I said there's always the option to escape, right? So it doesn't reach the ground. You didn't rig an extra rope, so you can't convert it or you can't lower it. Problem, right? You don't want to be dangling on there forever. You got to go back up. Figure it out. Regroup. Call a rescue. Maybe you're in the wrong canyon. You don't have, there's no way out. So there are options. Potholes, which I feel like we keep saying, but maybe we don't have a full understanding of it yet, is also a reason why we need to ascend up and out of it. Do we always rig single strand? No. No, right? Our mechanical ascenders are designed to ascend on a single strand. All of them. So do we have options to us if we need to ascend on more than one rope?
Yes.
What options?
Prussik.
A Prussik, yeah. You also learned the climb heist, right? Yeah. Yesterday we went through that with you, right?
Yeah.
Feeling good about it?
I do.
Good, because you're going to need it in a second. Okay, so yeah, software can pinch and grab more than one rope, and we can ascend on them as well. The climbers from the decades before us have been ascending on Prussiks almost exclusively, right? Until mechanical ascenders became a bit more popular. So they're expensive, they're heavy, sometimes people don't have them, right? Prussiks are easy, we can always make them. We try to carry them on our rack. So why do I have that foot loop and that Prussik? Right? In case I need it. I don't always need it, it lives there, but it's a great option to have. Mechanical ascenders. So, thank you. So we started to talk about these yesterday as we saw them being used as rope grabs. They have lots of different properties, principles, they're built different ways. We like to use Ropeman 2s. The 2 is important. The 1 doesn't accommodate 8 mil rope. And did you guys know that you can find some of that information right there on the device? Remember when we were out and I asked you about your caving setup? And I said, what diameter rope does that accommodate? And you said, not this thin. It's a really good example of when you're like, oh, that's actually important information. So, you know, I think that it's good. We talked about it yesterday. You should be reviewing your gear. You should know your gear. Know what it's capable of. These are tooth devices. They have these little tooths here. He talked about the Ropeman 1 had bars that pinch across it. Somebody had a micro traction on their rack, right? Pull that out. Petzl Basics. Handle descenders, essentially. These all have the same principle, right? That there's going to be a little cam that locks up against the rope and pinches it between something. These have little teeth that will grip onto it. Yeah, you can see he has teeth there, swings out, right? You have to capture the rope inside, and then we can close it. This acts with a carabiner that kind of occupies that space, and then that cam moves against it to pinch the rope. When I'm talking about pinching the rope, it's important because if we shock load these rope grabs that have teeth on them, they can damage the rope or shot it. So when we move with ascenders, we move gently. You guys remember how to each of you, as you were going over the guided rappel, I kept being like, voice of calm, relax, walk down normally, load the rope casually. That's the same idea with these ascenders, okay? We don't pop down on them. We don't want these teeth to damage our rope, especially when we're climbing, you know, 60 feet up a cliff. To inspect them, make sure that they're moving properly. There's no nicks, sharp edges. We talked about that before for wear and tear. Make sure that all of the teeth are present, right? This is a really important thing when you're inspecting your gear. I feel like nobody does it. So I'm just going to say it out loud. You shake your head, yes, nobody does it. And nobody talks about it. That's the crazy thing to me. This is like, come on, man, we all depend on this gear. We live, we trust our lives to it. Know how to inspect it. Know what to look for, okay?
When you say the make sure that all the teeth are present, do they have a tendency of falling off, or?
They can get, they wear after over time. They can get damaged. These do a pretty good job of kind of hiding the teeth on them, but like his device, for instance, if it pops open, you see that it, like mine is like self-closing, right? But his, when you pop that open, it's possible that that doesn't slide or catch on itself.
Yeah,
It's possible that you can mar it. It has like a double action, right? Locking. Double being the spring, and then, you know, the sleeve that closes over the top. So it's really important that we test and trust our gear, okay? Mechanical ascenders are the easy way to do things. We're gonna make you start out the hard way today, okay? So I think we have rope over there. We can go over software, just kidding. You guys remember how to tie a Prussik? Yeah? We can just come around the back side of it. Pass that loop through once, twice, 3 times, pull, and then we have to clean this up a little bit. By cleaning, I mean all the strands need to be touching the rope. We can't have any of those crosses there, okay? You see, you know you've got it right when it looks like that, right? You see that? We all remember this?
Yep.
Yeah? Okay, easy. You'll notice that I offset the knots we don't want to grab it by the knot when we're setting this because it'll be in the way of our carabiner and what it needs to grab onto. Okay. So with our short tether, we can clip this in, and now at best, it's going to just get somewhere around there, right? We can reach that easily and manage it, like I just talked about before. You can pull that down if we need to, and down. So to move these, we need to break it, and this little bar here is how we do that. So you can see that I've broken that a little bit. Much, much easier to slide it than when it's weighted and without breaking it. So make your life easy, and don't forget to give it a little break before you decide to move it, okay? Does that make sense? Awesome. We did the same thing yesterday with your figure 8, right? When we were struggling to break that free. So same thing, keep your sewn edge, your sewn portion away from what you need to tie. And you guys all learned climb heist yesterday. So that's what we'll tie today. Mine aren't very clean. Try to make it cleaner. God,
Mine were magic.
what's that?
Mine were magic.
Your climb heist?
Yeah.
Well, man.
Somehow he put the rope in the middle of the webbing.
Somehow I could get the rope into the middle of the sewn loop. It was
Really?
Yeah.
He's like, I don't even actually know how I did this. How did I manage? Okay. Great, guys. Oh, these gloves are the worst. Same logic. You have that little bar there. You will not be able to move this damn thing unless you break it just a little bit. Okay, and then I pinch it from the bottom and I slide up. Once you re-weight it, it will grab on again. If you don't have enough surface friction or it's kind of sliding on you, you may need to dress it a little bit.
How do you break it again?
Okay, so you see that little loop that it goes through?
Yeah.
So once I tighten it, it kind of locks here.
Yeah.
So you can just slide that over a little bit and then adjust it. Same with the Prussik, okay? You can see that's that same little bar. Without doing that, you're just gonna fight it the whole way up. It's not fun to fight it. Okay, so Prussik up on top, attached to which length tether?
Short.
Short length tether. And then foot loop below. So we're going to weight this, and it's gonna wanna swing you into the wall. So just try to be aware of that before you kind of slam up against it. Gently kind of weight your gear as you're stepping up. Now, I want you guys to think about opposite reactions here. When you're stepping up, you're going to want to push your foot that way because it feels more natural for you. But to come up, you need to push down. I know that sounds obvious, but I promise it will help you have better technique, okay? So you're always kind of just fighting around this, but you'll step up once, and then you saw that I loosened that. I pushed my top tether all the way up. Same here, break that bar again. Slide that up, stand up, loosen it here, push that top tether up, gently re-weight it. Okay, again, we're never shocking this when we're ascending. We want things to be smooth. If it starts to slip, you may need to figure it out. So you can break it, move that foot loop up, step up, slide that, gently re-weight it. Our carabiners, when oriented like this, tend to have a habit of unscrewing themselves. Now that doesn't sound right, but there's a lot of vibration and they'll start to make their way down. So we need to check these every 3 steps. You go up 3 times, do this. I have most certainly forgotten this, and at the top realized that my carabiner unscrewed itself at like an 80-foot ascending, and got up there and was like, huh, yeah, I guess that's a good rule for a reason. So I've seen it happen. Try to remember to check that. Okay, you take these little things off, and in order for them to actually go on the rope, you have to open them, right? And slide it down. You guys remember that we talked about why we like these round stock carabiners, right? HMM. Yeah, right. And they have more surface area that they can contact the rope with. This is again true with that pinch there. Okay. So we used our short tether before to ascend because the Prussik added additional length. In this instance, it's not going to do that, so we want to use our long tether. It's up to our head. You guys see the difference, right? It's in the same spot as it was before. That's why it's chin head. Makes sense? I don't have gloves. Where are my gloves? Can you toss those to me, Daniel? I'm sorry. Yeah. Thank you. Wow. Okay. That was awesome. Yeah. We're vibing, Eric and I. That all the time. So, same setup as before, right? And I think I heard you say it's the Texas kick method. We believe this to be the most efficient. There are different ways to ascend. We like this way. It seems to work really, really well in a canyon environment. So our other ascender will go just below it, like before. But now we need a carabiner. And did you guys see what I just did?
Hold it.
Screw down so you don't screw up, right? Once that's installed, we can add our foot loop. Now, you're going to notice that your foot loop is a bit longer than it was before because you don't have it wrapped around here for the friction hitch, right? It might be too long. So, you can load this. Oh. And when I step into it, I like to wrap my foot once to take up some of that extra space, and that gets my foot to about the same position as before. You guys see that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. And then when we move it, you can use this like a handle descender. Fancy stuff. So we'll slide up. How many times until I need to check my carabiner?
3.
Oh man, you guys pay attention. You're my favorites.
How many of us actually did that?
Actually,
I did. Because I just remembered, I forgot.
I just remembered, I forgot.
Same principle as before, okay? Sliding one up, right? You're weighting it, and then you'll slide that other one up, step up on it. Don't get greedy. How fast did I climb that?
Pretty fast.
Very fast, right? I think I can go up like a 200-foot wall in just a couple of minutes. Okay? It takes work, and your technique is what's important here. You know what to do. It's just challenging to do it. Any questions on this? On the transition lip, right? So we have what we call transition mode. And the problem that you ran into, again, like I said, was that the ascender up high was getting weighted and pulled into the rock, right? By what was below. You couldn't get up close enough to the lid to be able to move something around it. So transition mode uses a different technique where the foot loop, instead of going below, will go above. What tether should I use? Which one?
Long tether for your top
all right,
one.
cool. Okay. So there, and then, oops, I need somebody's foot loop.
Not in your way.
Thank you, sir. So you guys will notice I added my foot loop to a second carabiner right? The question is, again, like what could happen? If I ever needed to change this and unlock this to remove it, I'd be unlocking something that I could potentially be relying on. So try not to do that. Now, the main point of connection will be here on my belay loop. So this is what's really taking my weight in this scenario. And in this, we have to pull differently in order to make it work. So before you guys were kind of pulling down, right? Here I have to pull up to get this to feed through my device. You see? Now I can move that up. Now I can move that up. Is this making sense?
Yeah.
So far? Okay. So before you mentioned, it feels like I should have some sort of mechanical advantage, right? And I don't have that for you. But you don't necessarily have to pull up if you add a carabiner here. If you guys are looking, you can redirect that, or excuse me, add a change of direction. And now I can just pull down as I get up closer to the rock. So, the problem that everybody has as you go over here is getting that up and over, right?
Yeah.
So I'm able to pass this up above, get myself close to the rock, and then here I can
You
put
might want to come around. You see this one closer.
I can put my knees on the rock and get this rope up and off of the transition, off that lip, right? The closer I can get my belay loop to it, the easier it is for me to slide that up, right? Pull my waist up. See how it lifts off?
Yeah.
This is how we conquer the transition issue. Make sense? Awesome stuff, right?
Ben, why don't I do that every time then?
It takes a lot more work. It's less efficient than
Can you?
wouldn't you know it, we have some holes here that we can use for this practice session. This is our keeper pothole. It's huge, it's impossible, I'm not doing it alone, right? If I wanted to come over, do we all remember our partner assists, right? Maybe I can get up against the rock and you can climb up my knee and my shoulder and my head and possibly get over. We tried it, it didn't work. That's an option. Some of them, like we just talked about, in Neon, was super easy. That's all it took, right? It was a knee. We don't have to pull out the fancy gear unless you want to impress your friends. But we're trying to move efficiently through these. So the way that this works is we have these little holes that are drilled, and then you can gently set this lip inside of it so that it hooks it. And then when you remove it, please don't leverage this or you will blow out the hole. You'll see this in inlay and heaps. There's a ton of useless holes that exist there now because people just clunk, right? They got out of it and they didn't take the same caution to place it or to remove it as they did to place it, okay? You need 2 of these in order to make it work because otherwise you're not going to be able to get up. So again, we were talking about like mama bear, papa bear, right? Try to find one. That will fit within inside of it. Okay. Who likes their teeth? Everybody does? You're okay? Then you ignore this next step. If you like your teeth, you should keep your mouth closed when you're aid climbing. You should also want to test these by placing your hand on the top of it, pushing it against the rock. Because if you step up and it decides to fail on you, goodbye to your teeth, okay? You have the other one placed slightly higher, so you have a hand loop, but the goal is, like rock climbing for you, is to keep your body and your waist as close to the rock as possible. If you're out here, you're gonna struggle as you're pulling on it. you're using the rock and the friction there to kind of assist you on your way up. Once we're there, we can step again. There's multiple steps here, not because we use any of these as a ladder, it's so that we have different options, right? Maybe I can't step all the way up to here, so I'll just take a little step in the bottom. Maybe I can go a little bit higher. I don't know. But hand against it, keep your mouth closed. Okay, if it fails, you'll know now because it'll just blow out of the rock towards you, and it will suck. So we gently shift our body weight, find the next hole, gently hook it. You can use natural features once you find them, assuming they're there. Sometimes they aren't.
And if the holes don't exist, you drill them and then
Yeah.
test them and then go up?
Yes. So, great question. What if the holes aren't there? Bad news. We do have other methods, which you will learn in, later. Okay? Because not all of them are there. If you're expecting holes to be there and they've all been blown out, that's where you're kind of in trouble. But we do have other techniques. Generally, you know which canyons you're going into because we've read the beta and we know that we have the tools that we need for that particular canyon. We don't like to go into advanced canyons without the tools we need. Does everybody understand that? That's why it's so important that we do our homework, our research, we find out where we're going and what we need to accomplish it. Think of it as like tackling a beast. So I'm out of holes here, but I can still use one of these other ones, right? Just step up higher again. And this is what I was talking about before, right? You can use those as a ladder. Get up and out. Hopefully you don't drop them back into the pothole. So we don't tether them, but it's something we're we have a team member who's down in that pothole and can't escape it, right? Remember before Daniel was asking, hey, wait, not everybody has to actually aid climb out, right? One person can get to the top and then we can start figuring out what comes next. How do you think if he needed to ascend right now, how would we be able to get him out? Knowing that this is like a smooth surface. What do we have that we could use as an anchor? Meat. Meat. Give me your meat, right? We always have that. So we can tie, is an overhand on a bite good enough for a meat anchor?
No.
No. What do we need?
Figure eight.
Figure eight on a bite, right? Perfectly dressed every time, I'm just saying.
Yeah, no,
great. So, who's my meat?
Me.
All right. Love it.
Question.
Sucker.
Are there, so, is there someone in the group that typically is better as a meat anchor, like lighter? Yeah,
They
it's
know
like,
who they are.
I think that Josh just answered your question.
I found what I'm good at.
But hey, what happens when Vera needs to do it, right? Do we know how to back her up, everybody?
Yes. No.
How?
Another
Yes,
piece of
daisy
meat.
chain in.
Another piece of meat. We call it the choo-choo train, right? So I can grab my long tether and I can clip it to your belay loop
Okay.
and I can sit down and we can double up,
Got it.
okay? The other thing is, do I need to equal the weight of my climber?
No.
No, right? We have all of this rock, all of this friction. You can find geometry if I want to go around a corner, right? So it has to turn. If I can dig my feet in and use a rock that's pulling me, right? I can actually use the strength of my muscles. So you have options. You do not need to weigh the same to meet.
Okay.
But as Josh mentioned, there are some people who are better for the task.
Okay.
Okay, so what we have here, rather than the meat anchors that you guys saw before, where we have like a dynamic top belay, is a fixed anchor. He's not going to be able to go anywhere. He's not going to be able to help us, but he is going to be our meat. So we can have him grab a seat, like I was just discussing. You don't want to be sliding, you don't want to be pulling, right? You want to be somewhere where you're fixed, you're safe.
You want to be
Feel
on the
good.
ground, probably. probably.
Yeah, you go on the ground because we're gonna pull you, and then you have all of this added friction below you. Okay. Now he's there. He's gonna get comfy. We believe that it's enough. Seth is a little bit on the tiny side. I mean that in the kindest of ways. Okay, let's see. Hold on. So, all right. So, if you notice, I just dropped a loop to him to see how much it would need, and now I'm going to send him a rope man. So here's the deal. If you guys remember, these rope mans only work one way, right? They can move up the rope, but they won't be able to go back down. So they work as a progress capture. If we put it on the hauling side, it's not going to go anywhere because we're going to be moving him. So they need to go on the anchor side. I know that seems confusing because this is just one rope, but I promise it'll make sense in a minute. Ouch. So we're going to drop him a loop. Please clip that to your belay loop. Remember, you can pull the cam if you need to slide it down.
Your dad's on the other end, so there's no slide.
He's down there pulling, lifting it up, trying
Right,
to shake
isn't it moving? Remember the little metal piece there? Pull that, and then you can slide it down. So I want you guys to think about what you learned yesterday and tell me if we have any mechanical advantage at the moment.
Yeah.
2 to 1.
What was it?
2 to 1.
2 to 1.
How do
Yes,
you know
you
that?
guys are learning.
2 ropes going through the carabiner.
Through the traveling carabiner, right? We have a fixed anchor up here. We know it's even, and it's moving through that. Awesome. You guys are paying attention. So now we need to pull on this, right? Do I have to do the job on my own?
No.
No, yes. That's just because you don't like me, Bob. So we can assist and make the job easier. It's a 2 to 1 system. You weigh what, 43 pounds? Yeah. Ish? Okay, so we're pulling about 21 and a half up on either side. So our meat anchor is supporting half of that, and then the hauling side has the other half, if you guys understand the distribution there. So I can easily pull 21 pounds, but I'm lazy and I don't want to. So why don't we get into a good position right where Josh is standing, and let's add a couple of bodies there. Daniel, stand up. Up there, please. Okay, here's your rope. What's our mechanical advantage?
2 to 1.
2 to 1. Bob, put hands on that rope. What's our mechanical advantage?
4 to 1.
4 to 1. Eric, grab that rope. What's our mechanical advantage?
8 to 1.
No, it's,
16.
Well,
yeah, it's multiplier. 8.
Eric, I do have the strength of 2 men. So remember, it's a 2 to 1, and we have 3 units of force, right? So 3 times 2, it's a 6 to 1. I see that you guys were going exponentially. Whoa.
Sorry.
You all right?
Yeah, I just didn't see
Okay.
anything. Yeah.
So remember, that's now a 6 to 1 system, meaning you are pulling, right, 4 pounds or something. I'm not very good with numbers.
So maximum mechanical advantage that we use.
9 to 1.
9 to 1. Everybody's saying it. I love it. So the communication is what's important here. You got any of those are good options? Yeah, I personally like a fisherman because that's the one that nobody said. So look, cinches down, right? Easy enough. Okay. So you guys want to make your way over here. Remember how I told you before that a pothole will sink down low and then come back up, and we need to get over that edge?
Yeah.
So we'll talk more about the strategies for defeating them later. But the idea is that we try to defeat the pothole before we commit somebody to the pothole itself. So if they're down in the drink, swimming and trying to figure out what they're going to do, they're gonna have a really hard time. If it's water, they're not able to fill a Potshot, right? So we're looking forward and advancing our ideas to move through the canyon. We need to think about it before we start sending people down there. So over here is the top of my pothole, right? And I can tell that there's some rock up here and that it looks like it falls off over there. If I can get a Potshot behind that, success. If I fall short, it's just gonna pull across this dirt right back into the pothole with me, and I'm not gonna have any kind of leverage. So they get to be far. Some of them can be like 40 or 50 feet. I think it's Poe Canyon has what they call the Pit of Despair, and it's like a horribly long way to throw it with nothing around to grab the pot shots themselves. So you have to throw like 5 of these before you're able to actually counterweight, and you have to throw it like 40, 50 feet to succeed. To do that, you have to stem up between like a wedge to get as high as you can, and then a big from the bottom toss forward. Usually you need a second person back there to help you even get enough leverage to get it the distance. They're not all that difficult, but here I am standing at the edge of a rappel, and I'm going to throw this weighted thing, and I'm going to give it everything I can do. What's going to happen?
Momentum carries you forward.
You'll probably fall in, right? So how can we protect the thrower? Yes, you guys are so good. Meat anchor, right? We're going to meat anchor our pot shot thrower so that he doesn't fall over the edge while he's trying to help us all out. So I don't know, this is far and I am weak, but I will try. And we'll see if it's too far. So, does that look familiar?
Yeah.
Yeah? The coil that we talk about, we want to coil it because if it's a big pile, it's going to be shitty and it's going to fail. I kind of messed it up. Uh-oh. Where is it? And if we throw the pot shot and we're not hanging onto the rope, what's the point? Right? You failed at the exact job that you needed to do. So you try to let a little bit of it out. Maybe we can just go from here. I'll see if I can make it a little bit longer. So you have a coil. You can see that I'm hanging on to that rope. The other hand, I'm meat anchored, and I have to get it over that target on the other side. If I succeed, when we pull it, it will get stuck on something if all goes well. If it doesn't go well, it's gonna fall over. Shit. Do it again. We did not succeed. You guys notice that I cinched that up before I threw it? I'm just gonna say that out loud. Make sure that your bag is cinched. And then you reset and you try it again. Coil it. Will one pot shot work? I don't know. Maybe if you get it in the right spot, you might need more than one, right? 2, 3, 4. How do we ascend on 4 ropes?
Prussik.
Yes, there's the answer. We ascend with Prussiks, right? We need software to grab all the ropes. Do I need 4 ropes if I'm throwing 4 pot shots?
Yes.
No.
No? What would I do?
Each end.
Each end. Yeah, now you guys are doing it. Right? So here's another rope that I could tie to a pot shot, and I could throw that over, and I've got 2 here now, right? I don't need a ton of ropes to make it happen. Now look it. Oh, something's got it. I don't know what it is. I don't care. Now I can get into the hole, and I can get down to the bottom. I can pull on it and see, and if it's working, I can rig to ascend, and I can ascend up and out of it. Now, and they are transient anchors. How do they work? There's a couple of features here. You have the big sand trap itself. You have this super cool edge protection, which we haven't talked too much about, but it's integrated into the sand trap. So cool. Not everybody has that. The Imlay units don't, I believe. You have these sewn in reinforced straps. So you have one on that side, right? You can see. And then you have one on the other side. And then you have a little tail which comes through it. You can see there is threaded underneath these straps. So there's two versions of this as an anchor system. One is tostada, as you see it here. The other is known as taco mode. So either are effective, and one is more effective than the other depending on what you're looking at. So right now we have a rappel that we're standing at the top of, and we have this beautiful little indentation, right? This is a sweet spot, and we believe that if we load this up with enough weight, we can go over the edge, no problem. Because we have this little hump here, and it's not flat, I believe that I can use it in a taco mode, sit the taco inside of this, and then rig my rope over the other side, and we're gonna be good to go. If this was completely flat surface, and I needed more area to pile my material in, I would use it in tostada. Still with me? Okay, so, a couple of options when we're rigging it. The first option is we can attach a terminated loop here with hardware to it, or we can go directly to the sewn-in strap. It's not going to make too much of a difference. I think it's personal preference. I just want to say it out loud that you guys have options. So we're going to clear out some of this material. Again, I like sand better than rocks, but it is what it is. So we back it up, we sequence it, we test it, we gain the confidence, okay?
Why does Josh not need a lot of confidence?
Because you can jump on it.
Yes.
Because you have a backup, yeah.
Yep, we back it up and we can
Action, not talk.
So what are we doing here? I told you if it was a flat surface, we would put it in
Tostada.
tostada. So what are we doing with this?
Taco.
Taco. Okay. Taco mode. Okay. Are we going to use hardware, or are we just rethreading this?
Either.
Either?
In this case, we're not going to use hardware.
Okay. So.
Sorry, I made a decision.
No, I like your decisions. So we all remember how to do a retread at 8?
Yeah.
Of the bag out, and what it does is it pukes out the material to the sides. So we're all going to go down, you're going to get to the bottom, somebody gets to pull it. It's spectacular. Sometimes all of that shit comes raining down on top of your head and you look like an action star. But you have to back away from the cliff. Most of it spills out here. I will take a video of it spilling out so that you guys can see it, because you're all going to be down there, okay? But how would we tie a pull rope to this?
Same way as you did before.
Same way, sure. Clip a carabiner in it, right? Just have a terminated loop on it, but we do need a pull side. If this was in tostada mode, this would be over here, and we would hang it, and then we would set it on top of the material. If you wanted to build a little channel in the middle, you could do that as well, but we only like one rope over the side right now, because we reduce the chances of somebody going off on the wrong rope, okay? So I want this, back it up. Who's gonna back it up? Water that's flowing down, right? And to understand it, it's coming down, it comes off of this little cliff here, right? And it smashes, and then some of it recirculates back, and some of it goes as it comes through, making these waves. So it starts to carve these potholes in succession. Sometimes it's a little loud. And did you guys like the sound effects? That's exactly how it sounds, okay? That's what I sleep to, flash flood sounds. It's like a white noise machine. Okay, I'm lying. Okay, so we've got a team, right? There's Vera, there's Josh, there's Ben somewhere in the middle, right? We've got a few people, we're all rappelling. We get to this and we go, oh man, we gotta figure this out. We all learned how to throw a pot shot before. So first things first, we gotta throw a pot shot over into the second pothole, and we gotta get somebody down here. So maybe we're up here and we go, we gotta build an anchor, we need a transient anchor, right? I'm gonna use a sand trap, because there's nothing over here. Awesome. While you're building that, I want somebody to work on this. So we fill up the pot shot, we toss the pot shot, awesome, it's in, right? We think it's enough to support us. Alternatively, we could tie it to a sewn in point on our bags, and we could throw a pack as well. You can use a pack like a pot shot. You might be able to do it from down here, but let's say we can't. So we throw it in, we have our rope that's coming over into this side, and now these people are building an anchor for the last man, while this team is working the problems out. So I need to rappel because we're building an anchor, so we're going to use a
Meat anchor.
meat anchor. And he's gonna rappel in. Whoop! And he's down here, and he goes, and this starts to slide, and he goes, throw another one. I can't get out. So they throw a second one. When he comes and he goes, guess what? I can ascend on those 2 ropes. Awesome.
Oh, how the hell did you do that?
What did we do to ascend on 2 ropes?
Prussik.
Prussik software, okay? So he ascends up to the top, and he goes, well, great, now I need to rappel. What am I supposed to do? Send your next man, right? So he can go down off of a meat anchor, and then he can counterweight him, so he can rappel, right? So he's gonna pull up those pot shots, and he's gonna throw them, bing, bing, made it, awesome. I think I'm good. So he's gonna rappel into this pot shot, or pothole, excuse me, and he's gonna pull, and he's gonna go, yeah, I think I got it, but before I do that, I'm going to counterweight so that he can ascend. So he's going to ascend up, right? And now,
Can we take a quick time out?
Yep.
What rope did they use for the first guy to get into the second pothole?
he brought another rope, right? That you can toss to him, or he has a spare rope in the bag.
Okay.
So the pot shots are separate ropes.
Yep.
They have a rope that they can use between the 2 of them. So again, forward thinking, what do I need to get through this problem, right? The more people we have, the less gear we need. The less people we have, the more gear we need with us. So it's all about who's carrying what and kind of where they're at in this position. So now these potholes are over here, and we think that we can get him up to this spot. So we're gonna ascend up, and he's in good shape. He can't get down yet, right? So this person will meet anchor in, and they can use a rope to counter and to rappel, and then they can ascend, and then this person can get down. Let's say, remember I said this was like a walkout at this end?
Mm-hmm.
So he's going to now be able to rappel off of this meat anchor here, and he's gonna walk out, and he's gonna say, hey everybody, we did it. We solved it. The important thing here is that we haven't committed our entire team. So we don't send the last person down until the first person gets out. We need a way out. And if everybody's in here in the bear soup and the rattlesnake pit and the freezing ice cold water, then we may have problems. Teams have gotten stuck in the potholes by not working together and communicating ahead of scheduling.
So with you would want a group this big then to go through this type of canyon?
It depends, right? If you're 4 super strong people, 6 super strong people, by strong I mean competent, sure, why not, right? You're good to go. If you bring enough gear, you know that there's 4 potholes in a sequence in this canyon, awesome. Like, let's go tackle it. It will be an amazing challenge for all of us. The important thing is that you don't send your last person until somebody goes, why? because if the team gets stuck and you're not able to solve it, you may have to work your way backwards and get out and call for a rescue. Right? If that person's swimming in a freezing cold pothole, all hope is lost. They might not be able to get down and to get you in that area. So hopefully up here is a better place for rescue, and you failed, right? You weren't able to solve the problem. Is that clear? A releasable anchor is something that we can release from the bottom to get our stuff back. A retrievable anchor is an anchor that we can actually get back, if that makes sense. So, a sling and ring is a piece of webbing with 2 overhands on a bight tied into it and 2 quick links, right? Where does this end? There we go. Anybody got it? There we go.
Like that one-handed clothing.
You see why it's important sometimes? Work on those skills. Okay, so this looks normal, right? We've kind of all seen this. Looks like a normal one. We just have 2 quick links that are going through. Everybody repels on this. Bomber, right? And you see that I've kind of double wrapped this just so that it would pinch here. You wouldn't normally do that. You just wrap it, sling it around one time like this, okay? So with another rope, would you mind untying that one, please? And just give me a overhand or figure 8 on a bite. Maybe. Maybe. So guys, this is a bomber anchor, but it requires 3 links of the rappel. Remember, that's the minimum that we're supposed to carry in a canyon anyways. One that is twice as long as the longest rappel, and then another one that is at least as long as the longest rappel, right? Yep. So 100 foot is your biggest rappel. You have a 200 foot rope and a 100 foot rope kind of as a minimum. Is that clear? Okay. The reason is that this might require 3 links down. Doesn't have to be perfectly dressed today. So, sling and ring, right? Everybody rappels, woohoo, woohoo, woohoo. And then I pull my rope, I'm down. The pull rope is the 3rd length that you have that's already gone down. And you just pull it from the bottom of the rappel, you get your anchor back. Another way to ghost, similar to the Sandtrap. But what is the hazard of pulling this down?
It's a lot of hardware to get hung up.
Yeah. For real. Also, it's hardware, right?
Yeah.
You're sending 2 pieces of steel screaming 100 feet down a rappel at your skull. Think about it. You can murder your friends by pulling that. Does everybody understand how that works? They're kind of interchangeable. You'll most often hear it referred to as a fiddlestick. It's AKA a toggle. The smooth operator has 2 holes, 1 on either side. This one doesn't have any holes. What's that? I drilled it. Because it needs a safety, and I don't like the fact that it doesn't have one. So this is, like we said, bulletproof glass. What is it? Lexan? Lexan. So it's ridiculously hard to drill. Okay, so let's say that we want to protect a tree's bark, or we want to protect an arch, like a natural feature that we're wrapping something around. If we put 100 feet on either side of it, and you start pulling, all of that friction from the rope is just going to wear it out, right? In a very, very sad way. So if we want to protect those features, then we can use this, which is a releasable anchor. And it's known as the fiddlestick or the toggle, right? And in order to make it work, we need a releasable hitch, or aka a stone knot.
Half stone.
Half stone?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's not a full stone. Right?
Full stone is for the non-block.
Right. Half stone. And to me, it's not a knot because it needs a host. So, like, remember, hitches need hosts. To remove the host means that it falls apart. So knots don't need that. So there's some jumbled language there, but stick with me. So if I put my hands on the top and my thumb pointing towards me, I can make a little half a twist here in a loop, and then I fold it back on itself. Bring the 2 strands out. And then pull it, cinch it tight, and I have a rappel line. Okay. Now, you'll notice that I haven't passed much material through our anchor, and again, that's on purpose, right? We're trying to protect it. The question is, what happens if this falls out, right? So if people are rappelling, and there's a rock right here, and you're like, uh-oh. Certain death. So we have a way to protect it. I will tell you that you should not be building this as an anchor for your team in the canyon. Hands on top, thumbs down, half a twist, roll it up, pull the strands through. So put that toggle through, cinch it down. So LAMAR can do this, but the rest of the team doesn't need to do it. If we clip a dog bone to one side, and then to the other, we've safetied the fiddlestick, right? Can't slide out either direction it goes. You can send the team down. I see a lot of people build these in canyons for fun. I've never seen a need for it to get a team down, right? You can preserve something if you don't have anchors or bolts, but the whole team doesn't need to use this. Does that make sense, everybody? It can get really hard to release. So when you're ready to retrieve your anchor, what did I just do? You can clip it with your pull side. So the pull strand you've deployed over the edge for the last person, right? You rappel down on this side, and then you're down at the bottom, and you can collapse it and pull your rope. That's all that you need. Any questions on that?
Yeah.
Yeah, get up here and build it.
You're saying that the
without twisting. You see, rather than going over, I went under. I pass the opposite bite through, and I pull on the next strand. Now I need to pass this bite through from the top, pull on the opposite strand. I went underneath, pass a bite through, pull on the opposite strand. I went underneath, pass a bite through,
It's daisy chaining, right?
pull on the other strand. Essentially
Very
daisy
similar,
chaining.
yeah.
Some people can make this look pretty. I'm not that person. Okay? It will still work if it's pretty or not. So now I can pass a bite through. What did I just pull on there? Remember, it's opposite. Pass that bite through, pull on that strand. This needs to be done 5 times before we reliably can trust it. The last bite, you can pull back, and you can clip up to the anchor if you need a safety. So everybody can rappel on this. Okay?
Either strand.
Not either strand. So you see that last bite went through and I can pull on it? That's why we're safetying it. But this guy is bomber.
So for LAMAR, because I'm gonna totally interrupt.
Please, go ahead.
Right. Normally we wouldn't be safetying it because LAMAR can't undo that safety. LAMAR could go down on either rope. No?
Are you asking me or telling me?
No, I'm telling him LAMAR could go down on either rope. One's gonna, give him a little pucker, and the other's not.
Yeah, because it's going to fail.
So you'll see right now why.
So we're relying on that bite pinching down on what's passed through there, right? And they're alternating bites. So we know that this is our wrap side. And then to release this, we need to pull on the other side, down hard, fast, right? And this is what he was talking about. So LAMAR made a mistake and rigged to this one. And he goes over the edge and pop. But it held him. This is why we need at least 5, okay? Because sometimes I need 2 pulls, sometimes I need 5 pulls. But look at that. LAMAR is okay. He made a mistake, but he didn't die from his mistake. Now that what was my rappel side can be pulled hard, very hard. And again, this is at the bottom of the rappel. Now that side is caught. Pull on the opposite.
Right, so alternating. Your pull side, your rappel side are alternating as you're unlocking it.
So I'll show you again, but we'll do it here. This is a tree.
Yeah, because this was around a tree, right? Or is that what you were simulating?
Yeah,
So
or a rock or stone or whatever. But let's say that this is an arch, right? So again, what strand do I need to start with? Either strand. Pass a bite through, pull on the opposite strand. Then the one you're holding needs to pass a bite through. Okay, pull on the opposite strand. Now that has to go through. Pull on the opposite strand. Pass that bite through. Pull on the opposite. Pass that through. How many times do I need to do this, guys?
5.
5 times. Pass a bite through.
What if you do 6 just to be safe?
Totally
7.
fine.
Yeah?
Yeah. 6, 7, 8, great. 3, you failed. All right, this is the bucket list moment I have been waiting for. And we're gonna rig a rappel. We also need 3 lengths of rope for this. Okay. Sorry. I'm going to rig a beaner block onto this. Oops. Oops. And we have the pull side of the rope out over where Daniel is, right? My God, it's 100 feet tall arch. This is so cool. You guys see it?
I'm pumped.
I'm pumped too.
It's even got a water feature.
Right? Oh, you saw that? Who said that? Gold star for the joke. I love it.
The authorities are already on their way.
So, Moonflower, aka, not Moonflower, Medieval Arch Chamber, one of those.
Medieval chamber.
Medieval Chamber has a 180-foot tall arch, which is epic and is legal to Simul Rappel on. But,
That's incredible.
and it's incredible in Moab. It's the coolest.
Guess who didn't get to Simul Rappel?
Why not?
No one wanted to go with them.
No, it's a long story, but I went with a group where everybody forgot their rope.
Oh, right. Oh my God.
They need to take L3.
That was amazing.
Yeah, everybody showed up with no rope.
Okay, so I added this, although that's not
We did not have
necessary.
a fun day. It started out by yelling at a lot of L1s.
So, what I've done is I've added a rappel side and pull side through one of the anchors. And then a fixed or terminated loop on the other side. Okay? We deploy the ropes. And now there's 2 ways to rappel, right? This guy here and that guy there. Seth, grab that rope real quick. We get it? So here's how it works. Communication is key, and I mean key. So I'm gonna rig for rappel. Seth, are you ready to rappel? Yeah. Yeah, got it. So we're gonna get down on that arch, or that feature, and we're gonna slowly, softly move towards the edge. Hey, I'm close. How about you, man?
Oh yeah.
Okay. All right. Oh, I'm starting to rappel. You?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it. Woo! And now we're looking at each other like this is amazing, right? So cool. Best father-dad experience ever. Father-son
Father-dad, wow.
Can you swing over for a high
Father-dad. Father-son experience. So here's the thing. This is fun, and it works because there's friction, as we found over on the Sandtrap, and there's counterweight. That's what's important here, right? In a Simul Rappel, I'm bigger than him, but it's okay because of all of this friction and the disparity between it. I think somebody has said that we've seen like a 90 and a 250-pound person balance each other out on an arch. Okay? Amazing. So we get down, and we're done. I'm done, and he's halfway up. And what happens?
See you later.
Like that was epic.
And he pulls, right? Because he's halfway up, and he dies. Right? This story happened. There was a father who was at the top, like, do not get off the rope. Do not get off the rope. I depend on you. Do not get off the rope. And the son was like, okay, I get it. The dad gets down, goes to take a photo,
Oh my
de-rigs the
God.
rope.
Oh my god.
Is it good to put a stopper knot in if you're doing a simultaneous one like that? Just
If it touches the ground, you're okay. If it doesn't touch the ground, you should not rappel.
no, I know, but I'm saying then he won't go off the side and
I see what you're saying. He might still fall. If there's
Yeah.
40 feet of rope down and he's 20 feet up, it's going to pull through your rappel device.
And rip you up.
What I'm saying is you should not be doing this unless you are communicating properly to each other. Okay? You make your way down,
You're not down until they're down.
right?
You guys are a unit.
And it's best that we're like side by side the whole way, right? If I happen to get down, I need to keep the presence of of mind to be like, his life is in my hands. And you get down and you go, finish your rappel, dude. This is awesome. And then they get down and they're good to go. Okay? What happens if you have an odd number of team, right? So 1, 2, we went down, you two go down, you two go down, Josh is last.
convert it to the first one we did. The
Double strand.
You said double strand.
you can
but
convert it to the first one we did by changing
it's
the.
a 40-foot wide arch.
Oh, never mind.
Yeah.
Well, we could anchor them from the bottom on the other side.
Yeah.
Yeah, you said it. You said it too. Meat anchor, right? I get down to the bottom and I go, okay,
Go ahead.
go ahead and rig, right? And then he gets the awesome off the arch experience too, because everybody deserves to rappel off an arch if you're a canyoneer, right?
Up to the arch.
Hmm?
How did you get up to the arch?
So you walk onto it. So the way that this particular one that I'm describing, it like falls off on an edge, and then there's a land bridge that like it's.
When you come to the
it's hard to
cliff, it's like
describe.
it drops off right here, right? Like here's a cliff, normal rappel.
Where he talks about competency, right?
Yeah.
But he rigs something differently. He doesn't have this with a pull side that will fail on either. I think he said if we do a Simul Rappel and we don't safety it, and there's a pull side and there's a meter block side, the most competent person would be on the meter block side, the pull side. Sorry, having a brain fart. Because that way they are most likely to not de-rig, right? They'll go down. If they do, then the other person will be safe. So in this system, where 40 feet wide, it's not the same setup as as what he's describing. So we pull that down, right? That comes crashing, and then rather than grooving this amazing natural arch feature, our sling and ring comes right with us. Okay. Cool.
Yeah. Pretty
Everybody-
slick.
What's that?
Pretty slick.
Pretty slick stuff. You have all now, please tether in. Thank you guys. You all now have been through the advanced course, meaning that you should be prepared to start to start being not the person in the middle. the first repeller and LAMAR is an option for you at this point, right? Because you know what to look for. Is the rope on the ground when I go over the edge? How did we rig this rappel? Did we check the anchor station, right? What are we looking for when we check the anchor station, everybody?
The webbing,
The block.
the webbing, the drive, safety, not something sticking to.
What about the webbing are we looking for, Vera?
Making sure it's not frayed.
Check the knot.
Check the knots. Yep. What else, guys? Sun bleached UV is a huge problem for webbing in desert canyons, all canyons, but especially desert ones. Significant washing. I've come across something that appears white, flipped it over, it's black webbing. It's completely washed out. Don't trust your life to that. What else are we looking for the bolts?
Loose, crack.
Tight, yeah.
They don't spin.
That's it.
They're in a good spot.
Is spinning always a problem?
No.
No. What are we looking for? What is the problem?
If it's moving, if the screw is moving inside.
The loose bolts, right, on the inside. Okay, good. We want to check to make sure that they're in a good location, that there's no nicks, right, on the webbing, no animals that have chewed through something. Hey, it's in a dead man. The dead man is buried in the ground and covered with a bunch of rocks. What do we do?
Unbury it.
Dig it up, unbury it, right? Everybody gets there and goes, well, I think it's okay. And we do that thing where we talk and justify it for 20 minutes. Don't do that. Just jump on it and start picking up rocks, okay? It's a no-brainer. You can't see it, you can't check it, right? So pull it all up, get in there, see if you trust it. If you don't, okay, then we got to replace it. What do we do with marginal anchors when we rig them? Do you guys remember? There's a few steps that we want. If we don't trust something to be bomber,
Back it up.
we back it up. Yeah. What else do we do?
Gain confidence is one.
He thinks it reaches the ground? What should we rig to make sure that it does? In case if it doesn't.
That's just a figure 8 block?
The contingency 8 block. Yep. We want to rig the system releasable so that, like I just described in Neon, we were 20 feet short. Very easy fix once you go over the edge. Not an easy fix if it's a static block. I will teach you later today how to fix a static block and convert it, right? Awesome stuff. So, yeah, I heard backing it up. I heard
Gain confidence.
gaining confidence, which comes at the end after we
Sequence your people so that your heavy people go first and really test the system.
That's right, right? We send our heavier people down to test the system, and then we start to gain confidence, right? So sequencing, testing, backing up, we're gaining confidence. What else do we do on a marginal anchor? This one's real important.
Not putting the rope over sharp.
Soft start.
Soft start is right. Edge protection is also very important. We'll talk about that today as well. Good. Soft starts on marginal anchors, right? We don't trust them. Let's go down nice and easy. You all got to do the Sandtrap rappel yesterday, and I think you realize how important a soft start can be. A direct top belay, more used in lead climbing, and what we had a chance to witness yesterday with our retrievable handlines, right? So we can set up a secondary rope, and we can send them down with some sort of a friction device here at the top, and we can essentially let them control their descent while we belay them. So they're in control, we're just there as a backup, right? The direct top belay. If we were lowering them, we are in control, they are not, okay? The other option is that we can do a self-belay. And this is a third hand, also known as in the climbing world. So we have two different types that we can use. One is referred to as an auto block, which is a bit more common in the climbing community. And the other is what I think that all canyoneers should have, is our trusty BT. You guys remember that guy? Who knows, or who has one of these already?
Not here, but
Not here. Okay, I have some extras. All right, awesome. a versatile tool. You will learn to use it a bit better today if you have not already started using it. Get it dirty for you guys. So if you remember, we have a 2-tether system that we have here on our harnesses, and the long one goes to what length?
Top of the head.
Top of the head, and the short one goes to
Chin.
The reason that the short one is there, why do we use it? For ascending on software, right? So I want to remind you guys that you need to use your short tether when you're using software. You have that Prussik that has that extra length. You have a VT that has the extra length. You need to keep it within reach. That's the important thing that we're after here, okay? You got to keep it within reach. So we're doing a wrap around this rappelling rope. And how many wraps you need depend on your weight, the diameter of the rope, icy, other conditions that can affect it. Generally speaking, we say 4 wraps is enough. Simple wrap around like a barber shop pole, right? That's easy enough. Then we need to even out these so that the loops are matched as close as you can at the bottom. It's going to get a little funky, but it's not going to be a big issue. Now here's the secret. When we pass this top one through, we'll go underneath, and now we need to French braid it. So we're crossing strands around the rope. And you need to do this with intention. It's a friction hitch, so you want it to grab on nice and tight. The sloppier this is, the less likely it is to grab, and the more likely it is to slip further and pull kind of apart. So you want to get as many wraps in here as you can, and you don't want to be able to see the rope. So what I mean is they're super close to each other. Does that make sense so far? Okay. So this one is underneath, and this one is going over the top. We need to switch that on the bottom side of it. So now, what was on the top, now on the bottom, vice versa. And then we're going to repeat that pattern as we make our way through. So I switched it again. You can see that these start to look the same. Each time. Can I get that? Not quite. It's too much. That's fine. We're going to do as much as we can. We'll clip our short tether through that. Now, does everybody remember the finger trap toys when they were children? Right? When you try to pull them apart, they would grab on tighter. Right? That's the idea behind this. So as I pull on this, you can see that it starts binding on the rope above. Okay? It's a good idea to test your device before you go over the edge. If you want to trust it, you need to know that it's ground. Okay? I'm clipped in here, so I'm not going to step over the edge just yet, but you want to test it first. And by doing that, we can kind of move back. So to release this is the cool thing about these. If you guys remember, the Prussik was impossible to release after we had loaded it. We had all of our weight on it. We had to step up and break the bar to slide it. This will release under tension. Don't squeeze it. It might fail if you squeeze it when we hold onto it. We're using our 2 fingers just above it, on top of the rope. Now, ever so gently. So when you have your pull load on it, it's going to be tight, right? And you're going to kind of be like, nothing's happening. You're going to push a little harder, and you're going to push a little too hard, and it's going to go, and it's going to release on you, and you're going to go, oh shit, I don't like this. Right. Oh, it's not going to hold anymore. It will hold. It breaks free. So it's a very, like if you're learning how to drive a manual car, and there's like a subtlety between the clutch and the gas, that's what this is, right? You just got to find that sweet spot where there's enough pressure, but not too much, break free, and then you will be able to control it significantly easier. But if you don't squeeze, 2 fingers from the top around each side of the rope, okay? And then as we manage it, down we go as we're rappelling, right? We have to manage this too, because what you'll see is people forget their VT, and then they'll start going over the edge, and then clump it. exactly what we wanted to do, but you've just forgotten and now you need to manage. You may lose your stabilizer because you need to really dedicate it to the top of the rope. I see some people grab it and try to bump it down with their hand, which does work, but I think you're more likely to squeeze it that way. So I really suggest that you try to get in the habit of using the 2-finger method. Make sense?
If you grab it, it will release. So while that's your instinct of like, oh shit, to grab something, in this case, that's exactly what you don't want to do.
Sound good? So the VT goes above our device on a short tether, right? How many wraps is kind of the sweet spot? 4 wraps. And then we French braid alternating top to bottom, over, under, as we come through here. We test it before, right? So we can take this tether off. Feels pretty good. I think it's doing its job. It's a reach. You guys see? You cannot let this get out of your reach. If you test it here and you can't reach it, it's not gonna work for us today. So we're gonna need to shorten our tethers a little bit. So make sure you do this before you go over the edge, okay? I don't want you to get stuck. And I've seen it happen. What could you do if it was out of your reach and you couldn't free it?
Self-rescue.
Self-rescue, I love it. Yeah, lock off our device, climb Heist, step up, get to it, release it. We have the tools, we just need to know how to apply them in what situation. If we choose to go below the device, we need to extend our rappel device. So this is something we haven't actually done yet, but we'll do now. You guys remember the retrievable handline? If we didn't want to break our face, we were able to extend it. The same logic applies here. It's just now, when we go down, the rappel device is going to be farther away from us. It still needs to be within reach, so it still needs to be on the short tether. Why do you think it would need to be within reach?
So you get some caught in it.
So you can lock off, right? Yeah. It actually reduces the chances of you getting things caught in it. Every Santa you've ever seen stuck in a mall should have extended his rappel device. Okay? You keep it away from your beard, face dangly bits. So, if we choose, again, to go below, we're now going to use our Prussik loop. Everybody has one of these, right? Yeah?
This one is good?
Let me see.
No, that's the dogma.
A Prussik loop here.
Oh, okay.
Do you not have one?
No.
Okay, we're gonna loan you one
I
of
have
these. We will send you with one of these today. Remind me, please. Okay. So, because our belay loop is occupied, we want to create space to free up for anything. So we'll use a carabiner clipped through our leg loop. These are sewn and rated, although I can't remember what the rating is. You guys, for this, I want to remind you that if you're holding onto the knot, you're going to end up clipping into the knot. So you have to offset it as much as you can, okay? And then, easy enough, you're just going to do a barber shop wrap, like we talked about before. The goal, getting as many wraps as you can. Usually, you need a 2 mil difference between the Prussik cord that you're using and the rope diameter that you're using. So we like these to be 6 mil because we sometimes rappel on 8 mil ropes, right? It might be a 9, so it might be a little skinny, but if not, then we're in good shape. It will still grab. So, you can see now, when I lean back, the auto block grabs similar to the VT. Okay? Everybody clear on that? Because this is extended, this has no chance of sucking up into your device. Lance and Seth, you guys have extra long loops for your Prussik loops, right? And I would think that if you weren't to extend this, it would likely go right inside of it. So the rappel works just the same, but now we have to bump this down while we rappel here off of, oh, what is going on? Oh, there's so much friction, it's insane. I'm sorry. So it does squeeze a lot, right? And I think that you'll find that it's difficult to manage both the auto block and the additional friction here. So if you want, you can adjust it. It makes it a little bit more difficult to adjust friction once you're down. So if it's a hard start, good luck getting over the lip, right? You're gonna go over, it's gonna weight it, and this thing is gonna stick on everything. It's really, really difficult to get it undone.
Gonna grab every hook.
Yeah, so we don't extend our rappel devices on hard starts. Need it. Yeah, I need to isolate the core shot, right? Should I use a figure 8 on a bite?
No,
Why not?
because it catches easier.
Because why?
Because you can't,
Catches.
it's not multi-directional.
Right, cross-load you're not, right? We don't like to cross-load our carabiners. Why would we do it with that? So, alpine butterflies, right? If you guys saw, many people have learned this alpine butterfly with the hand wrap. I would like to see one of you show me how to isolate a core shot on your first try with that. I'm willing to bet nobody gets it. It's really, really hard. And I've never been able to do it. So if this is my core shot, right? I think I showed some of you before. Then we're going to put our hand through it, give it a half a twist, bring that thumb down, another half a twist, put my forefinger through it, squeeze together, and I bring that loop down through the alien's legs and up through its butt. You can dress it, and you'll notice that that's the point that I pinched, right? It never moved. I love tying alpine butterflies this way. I think it is easy and kept clean.
Can you do that one more time? Oh,
Grab the head,
Yep.
hands through, half a twist, bring your thumb down, half a twist, forefinger there, squeeze those together, and that controls that center section. Then you can bring the alien's head down through his legs and up through his butt. Super awesome way to isolate it.
And core shot never moved. It's always right there.
And the core shot was right there where I pinched. Okay? Very, very easy way to tie alpine butterflies.
What's the main application of?
For alpines, there's lots of different applications. In this instance, we're talking about isolating a core shot. So we've damaged our rope, right? It got sawed on an edge because somebody was a bad repeller or because it's just a sharp edge, and we have damage, so we need to fix it. Now, somebody in the group has these skills, but maybe not everybody has these skills, right? We talked about that before. So somebody knows how to pass a knot. So we can get the team down, getting quite frayed. We can get the team down with a lowering, and I will show you guys more about that later. Today I just, so hang with me, it's a process, but you all are capable of it. Gil, you get to go last because you get to see how people ascend. All right, we talked about it before with the Texas kick setup, but you're gonna just need to see a few people get through it. So guys, what do I click?
Long tether.
Long tether on mechanical ascenders. Okay, we can get them a little bit higher up. How many steps can I take before I need to check my carabiner?
3.
Yeah, thanks guys. I know you've got my back. Okay. So, mechanical ascender below. And a flip. Who's ready for some fun? So, you see what I'm talking about? You can use that as a handle, pull yourself up, slide that up, Okay? We all know how to ascend, right? This part's easy. Well, now I've got a problem. So I need to pass this knot. I need to move that ascender, but it is my only point of contact, right? So to take this off would equal certain depth. So I need to move my bottom ascender up, and I'm going to grab a spare carabiner, and I'm going to clip it onto my belay loop so that I can pass this easily into the next step. I'll grab a handle and I'll step up and clip short into the lower carabiner. I'm going to lock that. Now how many points of connection do I have?
Two.
Two, right? I feel comfortable taking this top one off. What should I not do with my gear?
Drop it.
Don't drop your gear. I'm going to quickly just move it up and over, okay? Move it as high up as I can. And now I need to get back onto this with my weight. So I'm going to unclip this and slowly lower myself back down to make sure that we're good here. Is that clear to everybody?
Mm-hmm.
Easy stuff, right? Once I can step up a little bit more, step up a little bit more. Now I can move my lower sender past the knot.
So when you move the lower sender, you only have one point of contact.
You always have only one point in this configuration.
Okay.
Remember we talked about that yesterday?
Yeah.
How some people prefer to clip their tether onto this, then you run the risk of kind of pinching it and shocking it and falling anyways. It is an option if you prefer it. I just like to talk about it out loud because some people have questions. But again, we're not shocking our system. It's always taking our weight. We're removing the slack from it. So we're pretty comfortable with it. Now I'm going to move up past my knot. Easy. Okay guys, now we need to change over to rappel. So you remember, we push our foot loop up above us, okay? We add a rappel device, pre-rigged for the friction that we need. Josh, talking about you, one setting, right? That's what I like to. And then we're going to lock our beaner. We're going to lock off the rappel device. We've done this before, right?
Yep.
We all know how to do this. Okay. Remember, you can lower your foot loop to where you need it to be. Then we can step up and transfer our weight slowly down to our rappel device. We've done this. It's holding, it's good. Now we can remove our gear. We add before we subtract. Don't drop your gear. I like you guys. Don't drop anything on your head. This is all, nothing new here, right? Besides the little clip down below when we had to pass it, we're looking good, right? So now, we can unlock our rappel device and continue our rappel. When we get close to this knot, we need to really reach for it. And I mean reach for it. The reason is because when you get close enough, you need to lock off your device. 6 inches, 6 inches, 6 inches. Here's another 12 inches. Look at how close that knot got to me. You guys see that?
Yeah.
Anything else, I wouldn't have been able to lock it off.
and then I'd have been in trouble. Okay? So really reach low. Don't go to the knot. If the knot's here, how do you fix it?
Gonna ascend again.
You gotta ascend again and fix the problem up there and then come back down to it. I want it to end up close, but not too close, okay? You need a lot of room to make that happen. Okay. So, now, I need to figure out how to pass that knot. Anybody have any idea how we could do it?
Prussik.
Huh?
Prussik.
Prussik. Yeah.
The standard answer.
You could use leg loop at this point as well, but you still have to tie up the Prussik, yeah.
Yeah. Still gotta tie the Prussik. So, we just learned our VTs. We need to install them. How many wraps?
4.
4 wraps. All right. I'm gonna even those out. That looks about good. And then do you guys remember what this knot is? Hmm? Or what this, this hitch
French
is,
braid.
excuse me?
The French braid.
Braid, right? Here we go. Remember, try to keep it clean, okay? It will look weird. It will not look the same if you cross your braids. Which tether am I using for my software?
Short.
Short tethers. I'm gonna bump it up so that there's tension, okay? Now's our chance to test it.
Nice.
Awesome. Okay, now we need to rappel close to the knot, but not all the way down. Okay, look at, you need to make sure that it's grabbing, that it sets, and remember it extends a little bit when it's setting. So if I get super close, and then this needs an extra 6 inches, it might get sucked up into the device, and then I have to start over. Make sense?
Yep.
Okay. Ugh. That feels good to me. See all that slack in the system? This part we do quickly. De-rig. Re-rig as close to the knot as you can. You see, I've passed it. Now we're going to lock this off again. Now, I've got slack in my system. Bad stuff, right? We don't like that. So, we have to rappel on our VT and shift our weight back to this device. We need to be careful that we don't cross-load it as we come down.
What do you mean cross-loaded?
This carabiner might get stuck in your belay loop,
Gotcha.
twist on you, okay? Once we're here, I have slack on that extra system, okay? You can remove this. Don't drop your gear, please. What are the options we have if somebody forgets a harness?
Build one.
We build one, yeah. What's another option?
Share one.
Share one is right. How would we share one?
Rappel with
when it
him?
goes down, you pull it back up.
Haul it back up the cliff. That's right. What else could we do?
Throw them down. Tell them to go home.
Yeah.
Tell them to go home. You're nailing these ones, Lance. That's right. Go home. You forgot your harness. Go away. We don't want you in this canyon today. You know, sleep it off. Feel better. So, if, not mine. Whose is that?
That one's mine.
Okay. So, if we decide to let them stay, we can build a simple Swiss seat.
We're not
which I'm-
assholes, so we're gonna let them come.
I'm guessing Lance knows how to do this already.
I don't remember, honestly.
Okay, all right. So you typically need about 12 to 14 feet, right, depending on the weight. Hopefully these should fit all of us. And we find the center point on our webbing, okay?
We pinch it in the middle, and then we're going to shift it from our center line here to our hip. That is not the brake side. Okay, so for you lefties, move it to your right hip. For you righties, to your left hip. Okay, find that center. We're going to reach around from the back. Now you realize that this strand is shorter, right? So we need to make 2 crosses here. And I like to use the longer strand since I know I have a little bit more on that side. Cinch it tight at your waist and do it again. Tight is good, guys, because you're rappelling on a 1-inch space of webbing. Okay?
It's better than a rope.
Right? So 2 over there. We'll let them fall down. Squat. Big squat. Reach from behind. Hello, B. Hello. Alright. No, don't fucking squat it, you asshole. Go see John.
I know, he's over here.
He's like, I smell my friends. Okay, great. Guys, I'm shooting for the back of my pockets. Okay? You see there? Nice and cinched up tight. When I...
It's under your armpit. It's in your shirt. I think it's in your... Oh, no,
He's
it's
under
here.
your arm. Don't.
Right there.
Oh, okay. Now he's gone. He's gone.
So, we're going to go from the top down towards the inside. That makes sense. Pull the strand out. Here, same story. From the top down. Everybody with me so far?
Yep.
Okay. Now when I pull this, you see it's not moving, right? Because we went to the inside and we're pulling back out this way. So this long strand, we're going to bring back over the top to that hip where we started. And from here, we're tying, cinch it tight, and we're tying a square knot. Okay. Right over left.
Yes.
Left over
Not
right.
I finally know. Yes, I can do that.
This part I always find really hard because I cinch it down super hard, but you just need to back up your square knot with a half hitch. So, struggle. So we come through there. And then bring that through. Same on this side. My God. I think I'm just getting chubbier these days.
Quarantine Bob.
Rounder is more efficient.
Round?
Just so we're clear on that.
I like it.
Like a
Definitely
wheel?
warmer. Ugh. Oh my God. Sorry guys. Try to get that tail through. So when we backed it up with that half hitch, we're in good shape. If you need to deal with those, just tie something off, right? This is the complete package. I'm not talking about me. Okay, so if you guys remember with these carabiners, we're going to kind of come down, hook ourselves like a fish, and we go through the top 2 strands. Okay?
Is that your belay loop?
This is your belay loop and descending device. So, this guy really fucked up. He didn't bring a harness, and we don't have any extra gear for him. We usually do, but let's say he doesn't, right? In this case, we can build a Munter, and you can rappel on it. There's a So I try to say keep eye contact on the person in front of you and the person behind you at all times. Some teams are really bad about this, and it really frustrates me. There's a girl in lower jump, the very exit, it's like a quarter mile, but you have to exit boulders that are the size of houses. It's a massive boulder field, and it's like impossible to navigate on your own. So their team was laughing. They were at the end of it, right? She slipped, broke an ankle, fell in between these boulders. It took them like 2 hours to find her because they couldn't hear it with the rushing water, right? Senseless. Why did she have to suffer for 2 hours in that little area? Keep an eye on your team, okay? It's really, really important. Also, when you're route finding, if you don't know the way and somebody's up there walking through the bushes, right, and then they struggle and they find a way through, and somebody, you know, the back half of the team comes up to the same problem, they don't know how to go, they have to do the same work that the people in the front did, right? So by keeping an eye on it, you can go, nope, don't go this way, go right. Oh, no, go left. Ah, we got dead end, let's go around this way. And not everybody in the team has to make that same mistake. So you can move more efficiently through a canyon if you can stay together. Does that make sense?
Totally.
You know?
Question.
Yes.
Let's say you have a team and someone wanders off to use the restroom. Should that person always be like, yo, I need to use the restroom, and then everyone stops and waits for them?
No, you can normally just hang out. You should announce it, right? And just be like, hey, I gotta, you know. And then you go over in the bushes for a minute, and somebody can hang back and be like, you good? Okay, cool. Right? If you're about to go around a blind corner, don't, right? Just stop and be like, all right, I see you. You see me. That's the point. We're trying to connect. We need to be a team. This is a team sport. If somebody's flying off way ahead of you, they're not a very good team member. I don't want to run canyons with that person. Okay. So liability, right? Tomorrow we're all gonna go and play in a canyon, but I'm not your guide, right? Everybody's responsible for their own safety. That's what this is. So I think it's important that when you're leading, you kind of say, hey, everybody is responsible for their own safety. I'm not the person, right? You're not paying me money to do this. We're just all going to have a good time. So don't sue anyone if you hurt yourself. Keys. I can't tell you guys how many times this has come up. Keys are really, really important. Well, our advice is always leave your keys at the car. Okay, if you don't need them, just hide them under a wheel well or on an axle or somewhere at the car. Because here's ask me how I know this. You get to a canyon where you need a shuttle and you drop off the car at the bottom, right? And then everybody jumps into the other car and you go up to the top of the canyon 5 miles away, right? And then you descend all day, you're playing, you're having so much fun. You walk out of the desert and you get to that car and you go, open up your door. And he goes, keys are at the fucking car at the top.
Oh my God.
Did that kayaking on a river.
You have done it. Exactly. Holy
It sucks.
It sucks. Because then you're like, whoa, I guess you guys take a... Hey, you got your helmet? Everybody's got a helmet. You've got your helmet. Great. How about a harness? Everybody's got a harness? Okay, great. In your bag? You sure? Gloves? Okay, we got that. Sunglasses, sunscreen, whatever. We're all good on this. Awesome. I was just telling Derek, we were in Arches, and I have this talk with everybody. You brought your 150, you've got a 120, I've got a 120-foot rope. Everybody goes, check, let's go. We walk a half a mile, and I go, where's your rope? He's like, it's in the car. He's like, you told me you had it. And he's like, I have it in the car? I was like, we're gonna sit here in the shade and we'll see you in an hour. And he walked his ass a mile back to go get the ropes to come. Right? I asked him and he still forgot it.
That was us. For the Uber rendezvous deal up there.
Yeah.
For
yeah.
The medieval chamber. I had the talk with everybody at camp. Oh yeah, I got a rope, I got a 200, I got a 1. Everybody had a rope. Cool, let's go. Get in the truck, go, get to the fucking trailhead. Nobody had rope. Oh. Except for me. And I chewed everybody's ass. I was pissed. So we used the rope.
Because you're not canyoneering, so you needed something else to do for the day.
No, we went. So I had a rope that they knew I had, but they didn't know I had a rescue rope. So we went in with 2 ropes. But no, it was a different. Yeah, that sucks though. So right? That's 2.5 miles in.
It's a nightmare, right? And what do? You gotta turn around, right? So it's better to just tick these boxes beforehand. Water, food, we talked about, headlamp. But it's 6 a.m., right? Why would I need that? We're only expecting a 6-hour day. Bring a headlamp. Bring extra batteries. Right? Make sure that it works before you leave for the day. I cannot tell you how many times people have ended up having 2 or 3 times the duration that they're expected to be out. They get stuck out in the dark, and here they are on my shoulder walking out with me and my headlamp, right? Because they don't have one. And they're just like trying to walk in a creek in the dark with everybody else's ambient light around them. Don't be that person. Just bring a headlamp. And they also break, so usually bring a waterproof headlamp. They're cheap. They're like $30. Get a waterproof
Check it before
one.
you leave, because it was probably on in your backpack since the last time you used it.
Yeah, Black Diamond makes some really good waterproof ones that have a locking mechanism, so you can lock it and it can't turn on. Yes, what he said. Batteries do run out on that. Okay, safety tether is super important. Remember I said that foot loop? You were in an L1, but you don't have a foot loop yet, right? So he can't perform a self-rescue. Make sure they have that too. Everybody should have that and know how to do it, or at least know these skills that will kind of teach you to lower people down. We can make them too out of webbing, so be resourceful, canyoneers. Make sure you have a descender if you have it. If you have leave no trace principles you want to talk about, just to establish expectations, right? Don't leave your shit out. Hey, you have sunflower seeds. I know you're putting those seeds in the wrapper when you're done chewing on them. It's good to kind of set that tone. So where do we have this conversation, do you guys think?
Before you even get to the trip, or before you even go on the trip.
Before you go on the trip, yeah, you can start with a lot of that. And then when you're there, it's difficult. If you notice in the mornings when we're all next to our cars, there's a lot of like gathering going on, and you're like, oh, my sonnies, oh, the water, you do. So I start to draw people away, right? You put your pack on, and you kind of wait, and then I'm like, all right, guys, so we're ready. We're ready. You're ready, okay? We're going. We're going. You're drawing people away from their vehicles. And then Eric goes, oh, shit. Right. Okay, got it. Because he's realizing he doesn't have the time that he thought he had because everybody's just standing around. So you got to start leading the group away. Not too far away, because then I'm going to say, where's your rope? And you're going to go, oh, shit, I got to go back. Okay, all right, I'll be right back. And you're going to run for it and then come. But it's super important. Like, people are so fucking slow. It's amazing in the mornings. Right? Sometimes we do these alpine starts or whatever, and nobody wants to move. I get it. I don't either. But we've got a big job to do today. So let's keep moving, everybody.
And off-roading is start your engine and start driving.
Oh yeah, you just.
I got 1 or 2 people that talk, and you literally got to get in the vehicle and start it, and then they start going, oh shit, we're leaving. That's the same principle.
Yeah, so you've seen it, right? You really got to start moving people away, right? Get them on the mission. And somebody goes down and it takes them a minute, and then they rappel, and then somebody goes, oh, is it open? Okay, I'll put this in there, and I'll get that, and then I'll ready, and I'll close my pack, and then I'll come over here, and I'm like, I know, right? Take some photos, got it. And then they'll rig, and then they'll go, and it's about a minute. And then everybody takes that minute, and there's 10 minutes at the top of that rappel, and you have 20 rappels that day. Wow. Right? It's like
Quickly behind schedule.
we are quickly behind schedule, and you can see that at the start of the day. As a leader, you don't have to be barking commands, but you can go, took us 15 minutes to get through that fucking one rappel, and it was only 20 feet, right? We've got 2 300-footers coming up, and a 200 and 180, because you'll be surprised. I think it took us 90 minutes to get a group of 6 through Inglestead's 300-foot rappel. It was the slowest thing ever. And you know, it's terrifying. It's a 300-foot rappel, right? Everybody's like, check it. Have you checked the anchor? Like, yes, 70 times. Just go over the edge. But nobody wants to do it, so they're just taking their time. One person was in tears, right? And I had to pull her aside to be like,
seriously? What happened?
because it's a 300-foot rappel, right? And she's
This
like,
is the first time?
she's like, I'm a mom. This is insane, right? No, it's just intimidating, right? You're just dealing with different kinds of people and emotions, right? So, and I was like, you got this, okay? You're good. And she's like, oh, maybe I'll just go home. I was like, don't go home. You
got it, right? You go in the middle, like somebody else has gone down first, I'll go last, you're good. And she's like, okay, right? We got her there. And she had fun and it was amazing. The point is there was a 5-minute talk at the top of the rappel just to get her to go over the edge. So the time adds up really quickly, right? So you should be keeping an eye on that. If you think that, you know, you're gonna have a long day ahead of you, start watching now at the beginning of your day so that you can set the pace. Hey, he's on rope, you get up, get ready to rig, right? He's halfway down the wall, get your pack on, let's go, right? And you don't have to be a bully about it, but you're just reminding people we've got a long day ahead of us. Please stay focused. Right, where's your gear? What's going on, right? Where's your helmet? Oh, I left it. How is that one? That makes sense, everybody?
Yeah.
Okay. So group gear choices. As a group, we can all lean on each other. And I can tell you that a leader generally brings a bigger pack. Nothing will get you disinvited from canyons faster than showing up with like a Camelback, like 2-liter, and being like, I've got room for my sonnies. Yeah. And I'm like, here's 300 feet of rope. Right? And they're like, I'm like, I don't know. Let's go, everybody. I don't give a shit. Like, how are you going to contribute to the group with a little baby pack like that? Come on. It's not nice. You're doing a disservice. Unless you're like, listen, I have this, but I have like 87 cold beers in the car for when we're done with the canyon. When everyone goes, all right. I got that. Pass. Let me take that rope. So you have to contribute, right? You may not be too comfortable. All of you should be comfortable rigging rappels at this point, right? You're in an L3 class. I expect that any rappel we come across, you can inspect it, find an anchor, build it, rig it, and we can all have a good time. If you're not comfortable with that, work on those skills. But, you know, maybe you're not bringing the rope, but you are inspecting the anchors, right? Or maybe you say, hey, bring me the rope so I can rig this for you guys. And then they have to carry it. Maybe you just pick up somebody else's rope after they're done and walk with it. There are ways that you can contribute even if you don't have it, right? Be a good team member. It's so important. On the topic of anchors, are there any benefits to everybody having anchor materials? Yes. What kind of benefits?
Getting split up for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm. Getting split up. What else?
Extra bad gear. Someone might have bad gear.
Mm-hmm.
Have more than enough.
More than enough? Mm-hmm. What did you say? Backup. Kind of more than enough, yeah?
Whoever's going first can set up the anchor.
There it is. Whoever's going first knows how to rig it, right? They can go inspect it, they can cut it out and have it replaced by the time the team even shows up, right? And go like, hey, where's the rope? Like, they've just been waiting on it, but they've done their job. Hey, what's going on with that anchor? You're like, I pulled it all apart. It's awesome. Put it back together. Great, man. Right? All of these are really good answers, right? And they're all benefits. Everybody should have some webbing, a couple repeats. Okay. We talked about first aid kits. I've seen big, I was very naive in my early hiking career. I used to bring like cold compresses, right? That's like a big thing that I would do to be like, if somebody hurts an ankle, I've got a cold compress. You're in the backcountry. I'm treating trauma, right? Yeah, exactly. Like I'll splint it, and if you're bleeding out, we'll cover that up, right? I've got a tourniquet to turn it off. If you snap something, we'll try to get you out of here on your own, but that's it. That's what we're dealing with. Everybody has their own opinions on that. I bring a small trauma kit for every canyon I go to. You bring what you need. Painkillers are super great. Bring painkillers. Everybody hurts themselves at some point, and headaches are really hard to get through, right? For those of you who know how to rescue, bring rescue gear. Maybe I need pulleys, right? Maybe I need an extra rope that always lives in my bag that nobody knows exists, right? But I have it there so that when somebody goes down at the top of the rappel, I can throw them a loop and we can lift it, we can solve their problem, we can bail out, right? If we shot our ropes, I have an extra rope there. You know, rescue gear,
Most of my rescue gear lives on my rack. We can do just about everything that we want with it, and the cordelette lives in my brain. We also use these, obviously, for some rescues.
Real quick, do you carry a pulley?
Mm-hmm.
You do? Okay. I don't. And I would say that I think a lot of people that have done the rescue don't. And I'd say Klaus is probably 50-50 if you show. And the reason is we only have one use for it, and it's not necessary. It's a luxury. A pulley is a luxury and not a necessity, right? If it's a life or death thing, we use a carabiner. That's all. Usually, and I just throw that out because usually then everybody gets all excited, like, I'm gonna buy pulleys because I know what to do with them, and they're awesome, and they are, but you're probably never gonna use it.
You don't even bring a micro traction?
No, I don't know.
So we can use our ascenders as rope grabs, right, when rigged the right way. But that's why we say this is kind of it's a lot, but it's also the bare minimum for like a poor man's rescue kit on our level. So anything that you may need for a rescue, it's a good idea to have. Water filters, we already talked about before. It's going to be a long day. If you think it could go longer, if it's hot, right, depending on your region, you may want a water filter. Just throw it in your pack. Somebody needs one. Do you need 10 water filters? No, right? Usually one's good, maybe a backup. Make sure it works. That's the important thing. I like to ask somebody, have you checked it recently? Is it working? Oh, no. Did you freeze it last night? Yes. Doesn't work. Okay, you should have thought about that. Potholes. Remember we have some specialty gear for potholes? Yeah? You better know if you need it. Or you better be really creative at solving your problems. We gave you guys a lot of tools to escape potholes, right? Can you guys remind me? What are they?
Potshot.
Potshot? Yeah, awesome. Packs? Yep. What else? Aid climbing, Eric. Yep. That's true. But so you need what are the devices that we use for aid climbing? The étriers, yeah, the ladders. You can also make them out of webbing if you don't have them. That's a cool trick. What else? What's the other component?
Eagle.
The talons.
Talon,
yeah, you were close. Yeah, the pot shot. Yeah, we talked about. We can also use each other, right? Partner assists, partner captures, right? And we can climb up over each other. I've seen people stack 3 tall to get somebody up and out, right? They didn't have something or whatever it wasn't working. So shoulder to shoulder to shoulder, and they get somebody over the top. We're getting out today, right? Be creative because you don't want to spend the night in the canyon, and you don't want to get rescued. Okay. So, we talked about it before. I'll just reiterate. How much rope do we bring? Right? The longest rappel is 100 feet.
200? 300 feet.
Yeah, 300 feet is kind of the black and white rule, but what is it? How does it need to be divided?
200, 100.
Like a 200 and a 100? Yeah,
double your longest rappel.
Double your longest rappel on one rope, and then at least your longest on the other. So we learned multi-pitches, and that's a way that we can shrink our ropes down that we need to carry. So a 300-foot Inglestead rappel can be done in 2 200s, right? And then what if the rest of the canyon is like 20, 30, 40, 40, 20, 20, 15, 20? Like, do you need to bring additional longer ropes?
No.
No, right? You maybe want to bring some short ones though, so you can deploy those pretty quick for like the working ropes, right? And that get you through the rest of the canyon. So the point I'm trying to make is it's not always black and white. You can't say, well, we need 900 feet of rope for Inglestead. That's not true, right? We can get by with a lot less. So what you should be asking is, what is the efficient amount of ropes? What if we stick one, right? What if we stick 2? What if we stick 2 in core shot, one of them? You've had a bad day in the canyon. It happens. So as a leader, you need to be deciding kind of what are we bringing into this canyon. And I would tell you that more rope is usually better, right? If Self-belay. Yeah. Also like a third hand. So the VT Prussik. What was the other one that we built? The auto block. Yep. And you guys remember the rule about an auto block below our device?
Yeah, you
2
gotta
feet.
have your belay device extended.
You have to extend your belay device, right? Or your rappel device, excuse me. Good. So what else did we do for the retrievable handline? How did we belay people?
With the lowest friction setting.
Do you remember what it's called though?
What the friction setting is called?
Yeah, the direct top belay. Pretty close, yeah. Remember the indirect was top roping?
Yeah.
Right, when it goes up and comes back down.
You study those, or you just got good memory?
I got it wrong too.
You were like halfway.
Yeah, but I had no idea. So.
Okay, guys, I want to hear 2 generic lockoffs.
Leg wrap.
Leg wrap is one of them. What's the other one?
Hardball from the device.
A generic one that works on anything.
Prussik.
You don't know it yet. We're gonna learn. Okay.
Yeah.
I just wanted to see.
Kind of do.
They don't
know they know it.
Yeah, that's true, huh?
You guys do know it was locked off with like a Munter Mule or something.
Oh,
yeah, there we go.
Yeah, it is a Mule overhand. Yeah, that's right.
Wait, isn't that what Bob did the very first time?
Did you do a Mule lock off?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so you've seen it.
And that's how we locked off the pig rig.
Yep. Or he did an overhand figure eight.
Something.
Didn't you?
It locked off.
The Mule
He didn't fall.
Overhand.
Yeah, he didn't fall.
I looked up the instructions from my device.
So some of you haven't seen it yet. And I'm realizing it's going to be difficult from where we've hung these anchors. Have you guys got that yet?
No.
No. Eventually.
He said eventually.
When Derek gets it, we'll get it.
Should probably try this. They all ask me, how do you do that one? I don't know. That's right. Everybody's so sad because they wanted secret advice or something. Right? Well,
So guys, if you need to do a Mule overhand, it's easy enough to just wrap some extra friction. The secret that I've found is that we pass it through the carabiner. If I don't add the extra friction before, I have a really hard time controlling my brake strand. He's shaking his head. Yes, it's hard to do. It's hard to do without it. So if you need to, like, you're on a figure eight, right? Do you guys remember how we can add extra friction on a figure eight?
we're talking.
Yep.
We're talking.
Or just carabiner drop. Yeah.
Right? Something. Figure it out. Okay? Add extra friction. Because if you just try to go here straight away, good luck controlling this brake strand as you get back through it, and you're loaded and you're weighing and you're free hanging. Really hard to do. All right? So I try to just give it a quick wrap for some extra friction, and then I pass a bite through the carabiner. And then do you guys remember the rule with the mules?
Captures all.
Captures all the strands, right? I love it. You guys are on it. Pass that bite through. So we have a releasable hitch here. What do we need to do?
Back it up.
Right. Because we need a safety, right? Because otherwise I might accidentally pull on this and it'll all fall apart while I'm doing whatever I need to do. So what do we back it up with?
Overhand figure eight.
An overhand. You know we've got it when it's going back up that direction. The half hitch sends it the other way when we cheat it. Does everybody see that? If you want to try it, come try it. Throw on your harness, come walk over. So, overhand. This brake strand, when you pop it, you need to be controlling it. Okay? So you pass that through. Remember, your life is on that. Do not let go of that rope. Then you can unwrap it and continue your rappel. Okay? That other one that we talked about?
Leg.
The leg.
Three.
Farrah, it's awesome, right? It works.
Wonderful, yeah.
You make mistakes, you suck a knot into your rappel device.
Yeah, nice.
She had to use it while passing knots today.
Perfect.
Yeah, she had a little bit of a problem, couldn't lock this off.
Yeah, everything's fixable.
Here's the dynamic, right? I throw 400 feet of rope out, 300 feet of rope out, and I'm like, ooh. I lift up 400 feet of rope, and I rig my rappel device, and I'm in like a 0 setting, and I'm barely moving, right?
What does it mean, 0 setting?
So we have different settings, rappel.
Oh,
Do you
okay.
remember this? For pre-rappel and mid-rappel friction from your L1.
Yeah.
So a 0 setting here, a 1 setting, you're wrapping the loop. We can do this before we rappel, so we can anticipate it. Then we can come up into a 2 or a 3. We can add friction as we're rappelling. The squirrels seem to be so slick about this.
Yeah.
They're so easy. Everybody just goes rap, 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 rap.
That's why.
That's why you like
being
the squirrel better.
Yep.
Yeah, for mid rappel friction, I don't think there's a better device. It just seems so easy every time I see people use it. So you're in a 0 setting, and from 400 to 300 feet, you're like, all right, this is good. And then from 300 to 200, you're like, ooh, it's a little fast. Okay, maybe I'll just, okay, all right, that's a little bit better. And then from 200 to 100, you're like, oh, it's pretty quick. And then from 100 feet, you're fucking screaming down the rope, like, coming in hot, y'all! And the reason is because there's so much weight pulling on your device. It's like a belayer just hanging onto you. And then there's less weight, and you're in a reduced setting. So all of a sudden, you're flying down the rope. And it's really hard when you're hot, you're tired, right? And then all of a sudden you decide to try to rappel up. And you're like, oh God. And yes, you may be able to get a wrap on it, right? And you're trying to. And then here you're like, oh, it doesn't move too much. So there is an interesting way that you can rig on the fly with a little bit of forethought. Let's see. Who's got a spare beaner?
This person does.
That's me.
This person.
This person does. Awesome. So when you're working here, it can sometimes be difficult to wrap it. Again, I think the squirrels do a better job of that. But this works with any figure-8 style device. So I could use my figure-8 itself. And as I'm rappelling, right, I've adjusted beforehand, and I decide I need a little bit more, right? And I'm going, and then I can clip again. I know I didn't lock it yet. He's like, oh, we've seen this once today already. Hang tight. We're almost there.
Well, I wanted to see that broken meter.
Yeah, it's not broken. So you guys see, now I have a little bit more room to work with rather than being on the device itself. And now I can throttle up and basically get rid of this carabiner and its help. Or if I need it, I can bring it down.
I love the setting.
And throttle down. This is, we call it a little Z-rig. You can do it with any figure-8 device, right? You just click through that loop at the top after you've redirected it off of here. And now with this throttle, you can see I can really affect how fast I move up and down this rope. So again, we're looking to head in these longer, these more advanced canyons. These big, long rappels can require a little bit more thought.
You would have those on your strap and device before going over the edge.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. This one, you may be able to add afterwards. I think the leg loop you definitely want on.
Because when you're in the hot or shit mode, it's too late.
Yeah, that's exactly it, right? So I think you're like, okay, sure. So we might be able to pull some, right? And we can slow him down a little bit. But how fast, how long until he slips and we notice it, and then we start trying to pull on it.
And let's be honest, sometimes Belay it's the most boring stuff and people don't want because there's guys.
Are you talking about you?
No, actually I'm very responsible. I'm actually always the guy that does the belay.
To do the belays, right? So
don't start with me.
So on those big rappels, do you always do like a self backup?
You could, right? On those big rappels, you're going to have an incredible amount of friction and heat. So what would you want to use if you were going to do a self belay?
VT.
The VT, right?
You always want to use a VT.
The melting
don't you?
point is like 3 times that of nylon,
Right.
right? So if it's going to be burning up for 300 feet, why not? So I haven't rigged for rappel here. I've rigged for belay. Okay? He's 200 feet up there, and I've got this, and I'm at the bottom of it, and he's going over the edge. It's still a fireman principle, or a bottom belay, but the difference is I'm going to make sure that I have 10 feet of space back there, and I'm watching it here, and he goes, and I lean back, or I try to run back and pull him, and I'm going to pull him off the wall, right, because it's up at the rappel, and he's coming 10 feet off. And I'm like, oh, what happened, bro? And he's like, my God, I'm tired. Give me a minute. I have had somebody completely spent on a rappel. 160 feet. He got 80 feet off the floor. He had nothing left. I had to lower him down to me, which is for a different class. The point was, it was really important. He got exhausted, spent. I can't do it anymore. Could not complete his task. So it's critical, right? So if we know that we have a massive rappel here and we've got a fair amount of stretch that we might need to tackle, we can help the belay and ourselves by clipping in. Should you use a terminated loop? So like a figure 8 on a bite clipped into my belay loop?
No.
Would that work?
It would, but when he gets to the bottom, you better get that off fast.
It would, but then what do? Right? Here at least I can figure out what comes next. Maybe I need a break, right? Somebody else can come and grab this rope and I can get out of the system, right? It's gonna be a little and then I throw another strand down and both reach the bottom. I can speed my team up by isolating each strand. So we can do a couple of different things. You guys remember the stone knot you learned yesterday? Gill, thumb towards your chest. You can grab the top, you give it a half twist up, right? And then up to the top there. We can beaner block it, and then we safety it to one strand at the top. Now we pull that down, and either side is safe to rappel on. Should we do a Simul Rappel on this? No, that's not what we're saying.
Anchor.
Flip it into the anchor.
Lose a beaner. Yeah, but you can do the same thing. That's what my question was.
Yeah. So your question
The last
is,
guy
can you
wouldn't
use
do
it with the
that.
beaner block? Right? It's safetied to the top, making either rope safe to rappel on.
You could also do figure 8s.
That? Ooh. Okay, so guys, watch me closely. What happens if I put this carabiner on top here and I load it with weight? What can I do with my rope? You see that over there?
Pinches it a little bit.
It pinches it, right? I'm not going to be able to move it when there's 200 pounds. So we have to ignore that. Go underneath and let the rope float on top. This is critical, all right? That's why I'm slowing down and speaking like this. So our ATSs are awesome for so many different reasons, but I'll show you one reason that we really like. So here, I can pass a bite through. Clip a carabiner to it. Here, pass a bite through. Clip a carabiner to it. Lock this. Lock this. You have a Jester. So, hey, I'm rappelling. I've isolated the strands. Awesome, right? Woo, I'm having so much fun. Shit, I'm stuck. Hey, Derek.
Yeah, Ben.
Can you lower me?
I don't know, Ben. This thing is crazy. What the heck is it?
I hope you know how. Do you know how? Do you remember how?
I thought you were going to explain. I was like, I'll sit here.
I need to be lowered. So I'm on the load side. He's removing the carabiner that is not being loaded at the moment. He's controlling the brake strand because my life is in his hands. He will ignore the repeat and he will grab the brake strand on the opposite side, controlling my life in his hands, and then he can start to feed it through and lower me.
God damn it, now I gotta buy another ATS.
Pull it off your friend's rack.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Only LAMAR can give it up because LAMAR can't release this. Right? He needs to re-rig it for something else. So if we're moving the groove down quickly, we can isolate it with a dual contingency. Now, if you guys see, I chose to pass these through opposite sides, right? The reason is, if I try to pass the bites through both sides, there's a lot of muck here. It's difficult to manage. All right? So don't forget to safety these off. Hey, what happens? Is there enough friction in this system for me to not have to safety the other side? Yeah, there's a lot of friction. Okay. Eric, you want to come release me?
Sure. Although, I'd like another way without an ATS, because
it's basically it's basically a stitch plate, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to show you
They're on
another way
multiple different
right
devices.
after this
Totem has them.
with something that you do have that I have or should have.
You're stuck.
Yeah. Hey, can you help me out?
Yeah, I'm gonna lower you. Hold on, bud.
So, opposite strand, that's good. Not the load side. But he's controlling his brake strand. Now you're going to ignore the repeat as you reach around to the other side. And you see, my life is on your hands now. So, get ready for it.
I got you.
Ignore the repeat, and then you can start to feed it through once you have that loop, and you're ready.
So the repeat just adds too much friction to even do anything?
Way too much.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead and pull on the other side. Let's not ignore the repeat.
Try to lower you.
It works, but it's harder, right? So
maybe you got a 60-pound pack on your back.
I don't like ATSs. Show me something else. Okay, fine. Let's show you something else. So we all carry one of these, right?
Yeah.
Yeah?
You should.
You do?
Yeah.
You carry one of these?
Yeah.
And everyone on your team should too. I like that. Whoever said you should. You did. Yes, everybody carry one. So I have one on my rack. You've got one on your rack. Hey, give me your 8 real quick. Same principle here, guys. We cannot capture the strand in the repeat, okay? So we have to come from underneath. Same concept, right? Nothing new yet. Now we clip our figure 8s in through the big holes here. And now we can rig them as we normally would. Up and around, from the back, same side there, up and around.
Shut up.
Shut the front door.
To secure it, we have a dog bone. We always have to secure on either end, right? What were you about to say, Derek? Huh?
I don't. Oh, was gonna ask what the last mode was called.
Yeah. Do you guys remember what the last mode was called?
Mode?
The Jester.
The rigger. All right, the rigging, excuse me, was the Jester, right?
So this would be an 8 Jester? Just an 8?
This is a Joker.
Oh, okay.
So we've all released a figure 8, right? And I'm guessing that Eric knows how to release this now. Hey guys, I'm stuck!
Alright, that's your side.
Can you lock off?
Locked off?
Alright, I'm releasing. Very slowly. Good thing this is not on a high rappel. Alright.
Lower.
Would you skip the repeat on this one too?
Yes, ignore the repeat.
Even though it's working, but yeah, okay.
Yeah, he's working with it, but if there's too much friction, right, and I'm over the edge and he can't actually release there, it's going to be fighting in a different, you know,
There's no,
I'm on
there's no
flat ground.
friction in our sample here, so
Right.
you very
So,
well.
I'm going to be
I
over.
might as well just come over
I'm
here.
going to be over the edge, and I'm going to be pulling down, and he's going to have a really hard time feeding it through.
Is
So
there
you
any
ign-
way to throttle this too,
so you
or
ignore the
no?
repeat? No, maybe, but I think that you want to be controlling that brake strand. I think you might have a hard time because this is kind of out and floating, right?
This,
Right.
yeah.
Not really.
So there's a lot more friction than there typically is. Right? Below this strand up here, and our trusty figure 8 that we use for everything but rappelling, which is amazing. We can rig this. That's my rappel strand over there, right? We can clip this in. Can I get weight? So, this isn't protected, right? It's just like we've used in a releasing system, but it's not blocked up against anything. It's built by ignoring the repeat. Everybody clear on that? This is really key. So how can we lock off a system so that it's safe to rappel? You could use a mule, but that's not what we're after here. Remember I said there's a way to lock off figure 8s and nobody knows how? I do. So you see this little strand? I'm pinching it between the figure 8 and the rope here. Popping it into place. This is a half lock. It's not enough. Still with me? I'm gonna pull a bite through the carabiner. And I'm going to do one more. Once it's in there, I'm gonna pull the rest of this strand through. And now I have some extra friction coming up and through here. We're ignoring all the rest of it. Now it's locked off. This is a lowering system. We call it an easy 8. It is built because we know we need to lower him, right? Rather than a contingency 8 block. So I won't be able to get this back. So LAMAR has to figure out something new. But he's over the edge and he's gonna get close. He's rappelled down, 20 feet to that scary part. Hey, you ready?
Ready?
Pull that strand down hard, fast. Block. Go ahead and weight it. Controlling this brake strand. We're gonna pull that through. Ready?
Ready.
Lowering. Hey, are you passed? Passed. Locking. I'm gonna lock it once. How many? Is this enough?
No.
What do I need?
Pull a bite through.
2 of them. Pull a bite through the carabiner. Back to the figure 8. Lock it. Pull the rest of your tail away. Finish your rappel.
Done.
Done. So. I like it. Give it a twist behind and clip it. You see? You just pinch that. You can pass it through. You know you've got it when it flips on itself and lowers on either side. You guys with me?
Yeah.
Okay. So you're rappelling here. I have this munter in place. I need to stop it from moving, and I need something that I can release easily. What can I release under tension? What kind of a hitch?
VT.
A VT. Yeah. What else though? You guys built one on your pig rig.
Mule.
A mule. You remember how we tie that? Has to capture all the strands. You pass a bite through. Good job, Vera. So a mule. Now, What happens if I pull on this strand?
Boom.
It releases. So what do we need next?
I have Hitch.
A safety, right? So this isn't a complete system until we build all three on top of each other. So what you have is a Munter, a Mule, and an Overhand. MMO, right? This is a lowering system. This is a releasing hitch, right? And this is a safety. So you ask yourself, what can go wrong? And that's why the safety has to be in there. Because if I just stop here, right, and I'm like, nah, man, beers were awesome. it can release and lower. But maybe I want that. Walk towards the anchor there. Go ahead, you can walk. Remember, this works both ways. Okay, go ahead. Let it flip over on itself. So you come upon a group in a canyon yelling, help, help, help. Somebody has not been thinking ahead. And they threw a rope out and they rappelled halfway down and they're not touching the ground. Right? They don't know how to solve it. They don't know how to ascend. He's just hanging there. How long have you been down there?
Oh, a long time, man.
Okay.
Like 20 feet short.
Okay. We got a problem, right? How do you guys think we can solve this problem?
Lowering system.
Lowering. But we have a static block. How the hell do I lower from a static block?
Maybe you put a new load and you
This load makes it impossible for me to do anything.
Use mechanical advantage.
What did you say?
Spanish philosophy.
More of your rich calls. What did you say?
Mechanical advantage to pull back.
Mechanical advantage, right? What did we build this weekend, guys? A pig rig. And what did it do?
Pulled.
It pulled, right? Simply put, it pulled. Mm-hmm. So we know how to build it. We know how to lift this up.
This is why you need a full cover.
So, what's my mechanical advantage?
2 to 1.
2 to 1.
2 to 1. Man, you guys pay attention. I love it. What is it now?
2 to 1.
What is it?
3 to 1.
3
Who said 3 to 1?
2 to 1 with the
2 to 1 with the
change of direction.
Yeah, landowner, not me.
What is it now?
4 to 1.
What is it now?
4 to 1.
That's what I'm talking about. Wait it.
Freaking magic.
What am I tying here?
Mule hitch.
Mule hitch. What do I need to do?
Back it up.
Amazon.
I need.
In mode.
Oh, do I have enough here? I confused myself. I need to have a safety, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Look at that. I've got slack in the system. What should I put in here to take away their static beaner?
Contingency 8.
Show us your magical working ways!
Contingency
what
8. Contingency 8.
I should use a contingency 8? Do I want to block in case shit happens?
I would say easy 8 because you want to lower them.
Because that's my intention, right?
Yes.
I want to lower him. So why not build an easy 8?
Intention.
I know what I need to do.
But
yeah,
you don't need to stop lowering him. Like I probably would have just done a Munter since you had the carabiner right there with the clove hitch.
You can do that. You just learned how to do that, right?
Right.
Sure. Awesome. You guys hear that?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, maybe my rescue is straightforward. Or maybe it's complicated and you might need to stop.
Maybe
Right.
your hair was
Or maybe
just
it's a
stuck
good
in the
time to
pig
practice.
rig to solve your problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe the pig rig solved my problem.
Well,
probably not.
It's still loaded.
He would still be.
Oh, that's true.
He would still be.
True. He's still loaded, even though he moved up.
Yeah, I guess we don't know if it's as simple as just giving him 20 more feet. Maybe there's an issue at 10 feet off the deck or something.
Right. So I like to have the contingency, right? Can you lock it off? An MMO?
Yes.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, it's good. That's why you learned both lowering systems, right? Tools in your toolbox. Don't ever let somebody tell you it's the only way. That's not how this works. Hey, you're gonna feel a little lower, okay?
Okay.
Hang tight. Right? What I'm trying to do now is reload, shift it back to his 8, okay? So now put that back on it. Clean this up. He's screaming down there. He fell, he broke his arm, he's in pain, they were stuck. Should I be hurrying this? Should I hurry up?
No, make sure you do it the right way.
Slow is smooth, right? Or smooth is fast. Yeah, I remember that one. So yeah, right? It's not my problem, it's his problem. I'm gonna save his life today. I don't care if he's in a little bit of pain. I mean, I care, but I'm not going to mess this up, right? I know what I need to do. I just gotta get through it. Hey, I'm about to lower you.
Okay.
You ready?
Ready.
Lowering. Who rigged this system? Get some education. Right? Pay for a course. Go to a class. You shouldn't have rigged it. Static. Some starts can be when we're in a canyon, and you know you're going up to the edge, and I want to pull my rope easily. So some people like to rig their webbing to go right over the edge like that. And I'm standing on top of a rappel, and my webbing's down there, my repeat's down there, and I'm like, how am I supposed to get down to this, right? What am I supposed to do? And you're going to try to rig your device. Down here.
I still amazes
For
me.
5 o'clock in the afternoon, that was fast.
Right? And I'm gonna rig this. I'm gonna go, awesome. I don't know, I guess, what am I, how do I, oh. Okay. This is really how it is.
Yeah.
I'm not fucking exaggerating. And you're like, ah! Ah! I think I got it. I'm repelling. Woo! Shit, that sucks. It's awful, right? Only one person has to do that. And they don't have to do it quite as dramatic as I made it, but it is really awful. So, sometimes you may come across a rigging in a canyon that has been designed for a courtesy rappel. And the way that we do it is with a frost knot. It's an overhand, it's a variation on an overhand. Everybody can see me? So, I'll wrap this. Here's the secret, right? With an overhand, we know we just tie this like a bite, but I'm wrapping around this, and now I have a third leg that I'm passing back. By doing this,
Level 1, does anybody remember that?
anyone? I have this little loop. I know I've got it right because I have 1, 2, 3 strands on one side and 1, 2, 3 on the other. Cinch it down, okay? Now I have a little loop. Awesome. What do I do with that? Well, I know that I need my repeat down here to pull my rope. So I can fold this back. This is an overhand on a bite. If I fold it one more time for that third bend, I have a bow tie. Awesome. Why is this relevant? So let's pretend that this is my repeat. Okay? This is my repeat. This is what I've rigged my rope to. This is the difficult rappel. This is the hard start, and my team suffers. But I'm a nice guy. So I'm gonna give them a courtesy, and I'm gonna pull this back so that they don't have to deal with that. And then I come over here and I rig, and I'm like, oh, your beer, and I walk over the edge. That was so nice of him. LAMAR still has a rope pull issue, so he has to remove the courtesy rappel. You're gonna see these loops in canyons, and I'd say that 2 out of every 10 canyoneers know what they're for. Everybody else is just like, why is that there, right? Why would you tie a loop there? So the way this works now is my ring is over the edge, and LAMAR has to deal with the hard start. So I built a courtesy rappel for my team because I love them, and now I have to deal with this. The way that we deal with it safely is that we rig a rappel as close to the anchor as possible. We lock off our devices. Right? Still with me?
Yeah.
And then I'm going to get down, and I can use this as a hand line as I get over the edge. And I go over, and I weight my device. And now that I've weighted my device, and I'm over the edge, I can unlock and continue my rappel. Anchor that's static is what you just saw, right? It didn't go anywhere. I clipped it, it was done. We're good to go. Now, if I wanted to dynamically do something, it's messy now, isn't it? Can you pull that for me, please? Somehow got that messed up. I can rig the Easy 8 system that we just all learned, or a Munter. All right, we all know this now?
Yep.
Pull on that for me. Please lock off your device. Okay, walk to the edge. Are you ready?
Yes.
Your device is locked off?
I'm ready.
Okay, I'm going to lower you. Lowering. Ready?
Ready.
Go over the edge. God, that's a really hard start, right? It's the same idea. He doesn't have to deal with it because his device is locked off. So he's not worrying about his hand. He can step over the edge if he needs to. He can get past the challenge, and then he can go, hey, what? I want to rappel, man. Awesome. Well, let's let him rappel. You're locked off. Go ahead and unlock. Woohoo! Lower to rappel. That's all we're doing, right? We want him to have fun. You know, he went over the edge, and we know it's a waterfall, and there's 100 tourists at the bottom. And we don't want to throw the fucking rope, right? So he's gonna go over the edge, and he can go down, and he can, you know, get to wherever he needs to be. We can lower him over the edge if he needs to navigate that as a courtesy. And then we can lower him until he's like, hey, rope's on the ground now, and he can finish his rappel, right, as he's making his way down. Similar to how we did before with the contingency. He goes over, he goes, hey dude, rope's 30 feet off the ground. Locks off, and then I lower him until he reaches the ground. In this case, we can lower him so that he can rappel. Cool? Right?
When you all get jobs as canyon guides,
right?
You can put all your inexperienced, never been on rope before clients, and then you go down and belay them.
So that's an easy anchor. What's the problem when it's down here on the ground?
We're sitting on the ground.
Right? You're pulling on that?
Yeah, it's gonna pin him to the ground.
What am I gonna do? Right? As he goes over the edge?
Ooh, that's gonna hurt.
I'm like, oh! Like, what are you doing? Right? What did we learn to do earlier today that can solve this problem?
The extension on the
Courtesy.
Rig on a short tether. Right? So rig their device on a tether. Tell them to expect it. Right? And then they can go, okay. Crouch down low. Go over the edge. Right. They're rigged down here. Okay, next up, off rope. Go. Kids should always be on a tether. They have tiny little arms and muscles. And back here is really hard. And when the rappel device is right here, what are they gonna do when they're like fighting this? They're gonna put their finger inside of their device. So, rig it on an extension.
So you don't want them to be able to reach it?
Essentially.
Yeah, my kids can't reach it because they don't know how to lock off.
Yeah.
They're not going to be able to lock themselves off, right? So if we extend it, like you're suggesting.
So in that scenario, the kid's always in the
on a
front,
long
front,
tether,
right? Or is the kid in the middle?
In the middle would be smarter
Middle.
if you had
now
more
I've
adults.
rigged
Okay.
brand new girlfriend, brand new 5-year-old son. He's not going to break his fingers. He's going to be able to hold on with both hands and be like, woohoo, shit. Because it's stronger for him to hold here than it is to try to be back here, right?
Yeah.
He can just hold from there and go, oh my God, yeah, I love it. When can we not rig this way? Hard starts, right? Because then it just goes clunk.
And now you need rescue.
And now he needs a rescue. Okay? You can see it doesn't want to move. It hooks all the time. Yeah, especially the critters. I've seen people get stuck on hard starts, like, often. These things stick way out.
Well, yeah, they got legs.
They got really, really big legs. Okay. Awesome. So, courtesy rappels. We can be courteous canyoneers, right?
May as well put them on.
Guys,
Is there a
is
thing like called smart canyoneering?
I mean there's dumb canyoneering. Is test poles, right? So you get down there. There's so much rope out, and I can't find any of it. This is bad management. Yeah, exactly. What have I done? That's the bag. Let's have right now. Okay, guys. So we have our ropes, right? And you're rappelling, and you're down at the bottom, right? And you're over here at the bottom, and I'm LAMAR, right? And I'm like, I don't know, there's a crack there. Hey, Bob, can you give me a test pole? Clunk. It's not gonna work. Okay, hold up. Let me re-rig it. Bob, step 5 feet to your right. Give me another test pull. Okay, we're good. I go, I repel. Bob, pull the rope. This is how we avoid our ropes getting stuck, guys. LAMAR has to fix the problem before he can pull it. Okay. Guess what, guys? Hmm? What? It is almost beer 30. We'll have a beer by 30. I have one last thing for you. We're down to the final thing. And then I'll show you how we rethread it with your paracord, if you want to see it again. How we rethread it first.
Rethread.
Remember we talked about in the Grand Canyon?
Yes.
Like how you do it?
What about the carabiner too? We have to talk
Nobody
about.
has to see that. This is what I have to show you. What's that?
The carabiner.
Oh, and the carabiner. Okay. Thank you. So, who's got a harness? That's your rappel. Okay, so Bob's been having problems. He's having a hard time getting over that edge, right? And we want to give him a courtesy, and we've talked about how we can do it with lowering systems, right? But maybe we just need to get everybody over the edge. We don't need to worry about a lowering system. So lock off for me. And walk towards the anchor, please.
Nice canyon
Walk back.
flip-flops.
I can rig my device. Meet anchor him. Go ahead and rappel. He's going to rappel. Go ahead. He's over that difficult edge. Go ahead. Okay, it's all you. Unlock and rappel. I like that. Just let the block come up.